Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Well, I'm going to say it's 6 o'clock. Let's bring this meeting to order, 6 p.m., June 9th. Is there an echo? I don't think so. No, it is. Okay. Clerk Flintoff, roll call, please.
Carey,
Present.
Gapel,
Present.
Flintoff, present. Brandt, Noel, Reed, Reiser, Also present, Operations Manager Chrissy Aiken, Operations Director Nathaniel Clark, Township Attorney Mariah Fink.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. We have a couple of additions here. K8.
K8 is payment to Cunningham Limp for services performed on the Fire Station 2 project. And then K9, K8 is requested to be under consent, and then K9 is updating the reporting structure of HR manager role to report to the operations director, also requested to be under consent.
Any other proposed changes?
And those are being added to the consent agenda.
Correct.
I would support that.
Well, okay, thank you. Let's, what is the order this today? For risers first, okay. Well, he's lucky. Okay. Riser, any additional changes?
No thanks.
I don't have any. Treasurer Yapel,
No, thank you.
Clerk Flintoff? Trustee Brandt? Trustee Noel?
Nope.
Trustee Reed? Is there a motion to, well, I guess there is a motion to adopt the agenda as amended by Riser. Is there support?
Support.
Yapel, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is adopted as amended, 7-0. Any, this is time for the board members to declare any real or perceived conflicts of interest related to any items on this agenda. And there's a hand up. Everybody else is looking down. So Treasurer Yapel.
03, I own neighboring adjoining commercial property, which may have positive value based on the development. So I'd ask for recusal based on that.
Okay.
Woodview Commons.
I would make a motion to recuse Treasurer Yapel from deliberation or decision on 03 Woodview Commons for the reasons stated on the record.
I'll support.
That was my motion. Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Recusal of Treasurer Yapel has been adopted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Correspondence is received. Are there any other additions that would to the correspondence? There was the one, well, I don't even think,
What's in the packet?
okay, great. Thank you. Any comments about correspondence?
I would make a comment about correspondence.
Trustee Brandt?
Yes, I want folks to recognize that there are 21 letters from Renee Smallwood sent to us from May the 27th. 21 of those, there are 2, 3, 4 letters per day. I find that very unusual. I don't think that's normal. It looks like harassment to me, but that's my opinion.
Well, it is the right of the public to address the board either through correspondences or through the public comments.
That's my opinion.
Yes, it is. And that we have many FOIA appeals, and I think that needs to be addressed at a future meeting.
Good.
They're in, aren't they in the correspondence?
Is that correct?
There are no FOIA appeals for this meeting.
So that's I would just make one clarification on consent. It's a placeholder there, but Chrissy, you're confirming none were received?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, so these are just passed.
But that's correspondence.
All right. On to special topics. So this is G1, presentation of Bird City certificate by Michigan Audubon. And this was presented by our Parks and Pathways Director, Murphy Harrington. Hey.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Smith. I'm with Michigan Audubon. I'm really pleased to be here to present your Bird City, Michigan Certificate of Recognition to Scio Township. I have just a few prepared remarks, and then I'd love to get a photo with Supervisor Carey and Murphy and anyone else from the trustees. That'd be great. So the Bird City, Michigan program is fairly new to Michigan. It's an international program, though, and there are nearly 300 Bird City communities in the Western Hemisphere, including some in Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia. The Bird City program celebrates communities that have created healthier and more welcoming spaces for birds and people. And the leaders of Scio Township recognize that healthy bird populations play a vital role in ecology, and they connect us to nature. Scio Township is engaged in bird-friendly practices like invasive species removal, taking active steps to prevent window collisions, bird walking hikes and educational programs, monitoring bluebird nests, and participating in the DTE Michigan Green Power Initiative. So on behalf of Michigan Audubon, I'd like to present your certificate and just get a photo.
Why don't we all go down there?
I'll go down. Start. Who's got a camera?
Steve, this is for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's time for the members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. We begin with anyone present. Please come to the table. We have a timer, 5 minutes. Please pay attention to the timer. And then after we're finished here, we'll move to online.
What do you know? Well done, Christy. Operations Director Clark, welcome to Scio Township. We sincerely appreciate you taking us on. Thank you for having the courage to come to Scio. The Ember Grove PUD public benefits are vastly underfunded. Ember Grove is a dense condo subdivision that would benefit directly from a bus stop and access to the bus system. Therefore, I suggest asking the developer to add $500,000 to their public benefit proposal. That covers the next 2 years of the funding shortfall. They currently made an offer of $25,000 to the fire department. Add a zero to that to help fund the ladder truck, and that will be quite useful if there is ever an emergency at Ember Grove. then Ember Grove will be contributing to the community. Building in Scio is a privilege, not a right. Pulte is a billion-dollar company, and having them actually contribute significantly to the community they will profit from is fair. Ryan, the Crossroads write-up, you never mentioned that it was a $20 million proposal, up from $18 million last time. Why not put that very important information in the introduction to the proposal? I find it odd that a program, the Brownfield program, that was started to help communities clean up pollution is being used to help developers. In Scio, we have dioxane. We know about pollution. I think this program should not be helping developers add to a profit margin. The project is proposing we subsidize 43 units at 60% of the rents they will charge. That's $24,500 a year. Over the 19-year lifespan of the TIF, that's $465,000 for each unit. Scio could build a lot more than 43 homes at the rate of $465,000 each. This TIF proposal is too expensive and was already rejected last year for several reasons, one of which was the $5 million that would go to the Brownfield bureaucracy. The most important decision you'll make tonight is about militia. This board constantly uses the words fiscally responsible to explain what constantly uses the words fiscally responsible. Please explain what is fiscally responsible about making Scio wide open to $1 million lawsuit. Do you really think the union reps in Lansing don't have attorneys with experience suing for this exact reason? And word salad it all you want. In court, it will boil down to your firing the person who formed a union, who was never written up, who was hijacked by Jessica out of utilities and into finance. What do you think the judge will make of that? On top of that, the state investigation into Merck complaint about tonight's topic has passed through the probable cause phase and has now been sent to an administrative law judge. So there's two issues this township faces in court because of this attempt. Does any of this get through to you? So here's a suggestion to fix the whole problem. Alicia back into the job she was hired for. Put her in utilities as the billing clerk and administrative assistant to Mike. That takes her out of finance and back to utilities where she was happy. That opens up a position for another finance assistant to help Nikki. And it helps Mike run a severely understaffed department and takes advantage of her 2 years of experience while Mike is doing two jobs at once, field supervisor and interim director. And it removes the liability we face from a lawsuit and state investigation. It's a rational solution to a completely incompetent and manufactured crisis. And here's why this crisis is manufactured. We've been begging the township to hire a finance manager for 4 years. We finally have her and a manager too, along with a finance assistant. Now in tonight's agenda packet, Jessica is asking the board to approve hiring 3 outside firms to help catch up. In the write-up for the item, Jessica details how well the finance team and the other support staff work together. So Jessica, you identify yourself, Barb, Nikki, Trish, and Belisha as the finance team, and Ryan, Joelle, Aurora, and Christy as the supporting team. That's 9 people. What you're saying is that you can't manage the efforts of 9 people to help catch up. You're saying we need to spend $225,000 and for 3 outside firms to help 9 people catch up. This is your department. This is your team. You manage, and this responsibility falls on your shoulders. You say the team is working great together. Meanwhile, 2 of them just quit, and you're trying to fire the 3rd. So that claim rings false and untrue. And before you claim that Belisha is responsible for $225,000 worth of catch-up, you need to examine your leadership and ask yourself why 12 people have quit in the last 18 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone else present would like to speak? Come to the table, please.
Good evening, Mark Altamare,
Good evening.
Scio resident, current candidate for Scio trustee in the August 4th election. On Sunday, May 24th, I sent 2 letters to the Board of Trustees. Neither was included in the correspondence in the agenda packet for the May 26th board meeting, and I reasoned that I must have missed the deadline. I expected that they would be included in the next meeting, which is tonight. However, neither letter made it into the correspondence for tonight either. Perhaps it was an oversight. In any case, I'm not going to read them into the record tonight. It would take more than 5 minutes. Instead, I will summarize the two of them, and that will be the last I have to say on this subject. The first letter was on the topic of multiple false statements Trustee Brandt made in defense of her motion to compel the board to institute a workplace violence policy. I asked that Brandt or anyone else on the board to take ownership for the situation by acknowledging that misinformation was introduced and moreover potentially responsible for affecting a board vote, apologized to Scio residents for allowing this to happen and for failing to address it after having multiple opportunities to do so, and publicly renounced Trustee Brandt's conduct. I also demonstrated what accountability should look like when I myself acknowledged the mistake I made in my own public comments. I corrected the misinformation that I shared, and I apologized to the board and to the public. That was all in writing. The second letter I sent is on a related but a completely different incident involving Trustee Brandt. Her statements regarding mandates by the OSHA General Duty Clause are clearly false, but she could have claimed that at the time she made those claims in the board meeting, she honestly believed what she was saying was true, AKA the Costanza defense. She could have said, in fact, she could say tonight, that she did not intend to deceive or provide misinformation, that she now has a clearer understanding of the law and that she is sorry for her mistake. Done deal. Accountability, personal integrity. However, the second incident allows no room for interpretation. Trustee Brandt commented on a resident's public comment that was not directed at her by name. She volunteered this comment at the very end of the board response to public comments, at the very end of a meeting. She could have simply stayed silent as she has done regarding the mandate gate. Again, end of story. Instead, she felt compelled to volunteer a response that is contradicted by the facts. It was almost as if she couldn't help herself. In the next board meeting, this resident, my wife, Caroline Altomare, directly addressed that statement. She did not call Trustee Brandt a liar. She said of it only, quote unquote, it's simply not true. Trustee Brandt offered no response. Without going into the detail I did in my letter to the board, I will summarize. During the board meeting, Caroline observed certain board members using their phones, which is contrary to their own policy. She specifically noticed what appeared to be a pattern of texting between Brandt and a nearby resident seated in the gallery. Caroline called out this behavior in the second public comment period. She did not identify any trustee by name. However, in the board's second response, Trustee Brandt indicated that she was the person being referenced. The meeting minutes indicate, quote, in response to public comment, Brandt said that during prior administration, she had gained the habit of timing public comments, which is why it appeared she was on her phone, unquote. This statement is a falsehood. Trustee Brandt did not tell the truth. This is not a matter of interpretation. Caroline was not present for the first public comment session, so she could not observe anything during that portion of the meeting. She arrived later, observed the texting during the meeting, and pointed it out to me at the time, and I observed it as well. Caroline was the first speaker during the second public comment session. As such, Trustee Brandt could not have been timing speakers that had not yet spoken. As a resident of Scio Township, I expect Trustee Brandt and the Board of Trustees to demonstrate accountability and integrity so that the integrity that Scio Township residents deserve. That is my final comment on this episode. Congratulations, Trustee Brandt. You have successfully run out the clock and avoided taking accountability for your actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else present would like to speak? Hello.
Good evening. Mary Gillis, resident and candidate for trustee. First, welcome to our new operations director. I look forward to the influence your courteous yet straightforward approach will have on township operations. Next, a couple of thank yous. Thanks to Trustee Reiser board liaison with our lobbying firm GCSI. Thank you for following up on my questions from the last meeting regarding bills going through the Michigan legislature that, if enacted, would directly impact township finances. I'd like to see a similar report at least monthly. Is there any interest in the board with meeting with relevant parties in the Capitol? Perhaps a board-sponsored letter to our representatives would suffice. In this case, if elected, I would be happy to compose such communications in the future. Second, I would like to thank our project manager for overseeing, Parks for funding, and OHM for carrying out the pedestrian safety study at the intersection of Wagner and Dexter Ann Arbor roads. I can verify the report's conclusion that current conditions there have the effect of suppressing travel that isn't in a personal car. In our efforts to improve conditions for humans on our roads, here we have the opportunity to reduce our negative impact on the climate by supporting travel by biking, walking, and taking the bus through this busy intersection. This looks to be a win-win. I'll be interested to hear about next steps. Finally, I'd like to report on a recent visit I had with members of the Firefighters Union. They are requesting the board examine the feasibility of the township running its own pension fund due to frustrations with our current MERS Empower providers. I'm sympathetic to this goal, as I fundamentally disagree with MERS' refusal to offer an investment strategy that includes social and environmental focused funds. Right now, we are all being forced to invest our retirement funds in stocks some of us would not touch by choice, such as oil and chemical companies. I support the board conducting a feasibility study on the option of running our own pension fund so that together we can create conditions more satisfactory to all who participate in this benefit. I would also suggest that the board designate a representative to the fire department so that residents and other board members regularly hear about ordinary goings-on over there. Who's having a baby? Who's away at specialized training? Who's the best cook? The statistics offered by the quarterly report are insufficient to keep the rest of us feeling connected to these important members of township staff. If elected, I would be honored to serve as liaison to the fire department. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else present would like to speak? Please come to the table. Everybody's looking away. Okay, we're going to move on to online.
Stuff with Candace here. Go ahead, Candace.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hi, Kanda.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. I had a situation that's come to my attention, and I just wanted to share it with the board. I'm a member of the Planning Commission, which I enjoy, but I don't think I'm being compensated as I should be. When I was initially appointed to the Planning Commission and began my term of service in January of 2025, I was never truly onboarded. By this, I mean that I was never given any official information on when, what, or how I would be compensated for services rendered to the township, among some other details that would have been helpful to know in advance. I eventually inquired within the clerk's office what compensation might look like and was advised that it would be quarterly and that after the first live check, compensation would be via direct deposit. I received my first check at the end of first quarter in 2025. It was a live check that was mailed to me and contained information that was as I expected, such as taxes withheld. That was the only time I received any information from the township about pay. As commissioners, we are not paid if we're unable to attend a meeting in person. Additionally, I was recently informed that we're supposed to be paid if we attend a pre-planning meeting. I went through my financial records last weekend, and it appears that I was never compensated for third quarter 2025, nor does it appear I was compensated for first quarter 2026. I inquired of other Planning Commission members recently if they had been fully compensated for 2025, and if they had been compensated for first quarter 2026. While members are going to check their records, it appears the short answer is no for some of the other commissioners. I look at it like this. We can continue the blame game and point fingers at staff who are, quote, not doing their jobs, end quote, but I see this issue as more cut and dry. I'm not interested in continuing to flounder in the weeds blaming staff but question the lack of an onboarding process and why people are not being compensated timely and accurately. When can I expect to be compensated? I've earned the money and should not have to ask for it. Why is there no system in place where I receive any type of a deposit statement or notification showing when pay will be deposited and how much the deposit will be? Because surely there has to be software of that type that exists in this day and age. As the blame game continues and the mass exodus of staff from the township continues, please leave the staff out of your firing line, especially those who are new and may not have been trained properly. Instead, I encourage people to question what is going on within leadership at the top for the missing pay, for which I'm not the only person, apparently, and for which the Planning Commission is not the only committee where members may not have been compensated fully to date. If I'm missing pay from third quarter 2025, that means my W-2 is incorrect, my taxes were prepared and filed incorrectly, and I might now have to file amended taxes. It's not good no matter how you slice it. It should go without saying that people deserve to be paid timely and accurately for the work they have performed. Thank you for your time and for listening to me.
Thank you, Kanda.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak at public comment? Please raise your Zoom hand. And there are no hands raised.
Okay, well, thank you. Next, board member response. Time for the members of the board or their designees to follow up concerning public comments. And let's begin in order, please. If you have a comment, Trustee Riser.
Oh, thank you.
I do not. Treasurer Yapel.
Yes, thank you, Kanda, for bringing that to our attention. I plan on taking a look at that tomorrow morning and seeing what we can do to review anything that may have happened and correct anything that may need to be corrected. Thanks.
Yeah, if you could look into LASA as well. It's been a couple of years since we've been paid.
I will defer to Clerk Flintoff.
Okay.
I don't have.
Thank you. Clerk Flintoff.
Sure. In response to Mark Altimar's comments, Mark, I did verify on the website the 2 letters from 524 we did publish on the 526 packet, but it was in that updated packet the morning of, so it is published out. Second of all, thank you, Kanda, for bringing this to our attention. Planning Commissioner Brandt called me last night because she said that you shared that with her, so thank you. Yeah, we have had a lot of work sessions, identifying issues and working through them. Ryan and I have another meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, so we will audit the quarterly PC, BOR, and ZBA, make sure that we're all set there. So, and we'll bring in Christy and Fran to make sure all of our records are aligned. Happy to speak further about kind of the course corrections under 01, which is on the agenda tonight. Thank you.
Trustee Brandt, do you have a comment?
No, thank you.
Trustee Knoll?
No comments.
Trustee Reed?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Next, J, approval of the minutes. J1, possible action, approval of minutes of the May 26, 2026 Board of Trustees regular meeting.
Approval of the May 26th Board of Trustees minutes, please. Support.
I do have some, yeah, here it is. Well, if I could make a request of our Cheryl, our minutes angel. Cheryl, when we move something to consent, could you please include the whole item under consent? We have to move N1 to consent, but we do not have it under consent, so we don't have the full item of what it is. This is just for the future if somebody's looking for that item. Please.
If so, then reflect it.
Well, it's just to move N1 to consent. That's it. It's not under consent, and it's not under the unfinished item either. It just says N1, so nobody's gonna know what it is unless they go back to the agenda.
I would suggest, that we reflect. I would suggest we make a change then to reflect N1 under consent here in these.
Yes, please, with
Yeah.
the full.
Yeah, I got it.
Doesn't have to be
The motion, the title of the motion.
yeah. And I think that's it for me. Any other changes, suggested changes to the minutes? No? Okay, there was support by Riser. Or, I mean, there's a motion by Riser, and was there support?
I did.
That was Reed, okay. Friendly amendment to make that amended minutes in the motion?
It's okay with me.
Oh, I couldn't see him. He left. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved as amended 7-0. Thank you. Consent agenda, we have the two additions, K8 and K9. So K8, the payment to Cunningham Limp for services performed on the Fire Station 2 project, and K9, let's see, yeah, to update the reporting structure of the HR manager role to report to the operations director. That was it, correct? Okay, is there support to, or is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda is adopted as amended, 7-0. Thank you. On to regular reports and special reports. All right, supervisor report. Next meeting, June 23rd, we will have the attorney, Mariah Fink, and I will have the RFP for trash. That'll be exciting, so please attend. And the road advisory committee will have a presentation for a millage proposal on the same item or agenda. And it seems like there was one other thing. Oh, Dan Bignell will be here with an update of the EPA Superfund. It will be a deeper dive, and there's also some other updates that have come to our attention since when Roger Rail presented in May. And that is it for me. Treasurer Gapel?
Sure, thank you. A couple of things. We are working on tax bills this week, about 60% of the way there. So that's great. We're also working on the tax return with Raymond Robson. That's for the geothermal HVAC system and the F-150 Lightning we bought last year. So hopefully we'll have another update about that on the June 23rd meeting. Thank you to Interim Director Blackburn, Jason, the salesperson from Aetna, for loaning us a water meter reader. Ours didn't want to turn on this week, so we got, and thanks to the utilities tax for getting the meters read. The meters for Metron and Census were read, and Colleen Coogan from Woodhill is here today. And the water bills are going to be going to the printer tomorrow. The Fire Station 2 fund, the bond funds that we received about a little over a month ago, we've received over $86,000 in interest income so far. So it's wonderful. One question I had just from some communications I saw in the news, I'm happy to hear that Supervisor Carey's case was dismissed by the Washington County prosecutor. I saw that former Supervisor Hathaway wrote a public letter saying he was worried about the impact to the township from the case. I just wonder if he would be willing to fund some of the cost of the defense that the township bore. So just a question to think about. Thanks.
Thank you. Clerk Flintoff.
Just brief updates. We had a election commission meeting, have established the 80 count boards. Election prep goes well. I want to thank everybody for their work on that. Newton, Anna, and Sherry are back as clerk's assistants this year. Thank you to Angela Demkowski for filling in temporarily as deputy clerk. As well, we have the scanning project going well. Elka and Jess with 1S are doing a great job. In terms of getting into our records, we're focused on the planning and zoning permits as well as the board minutes and now the planning commission minutes, and we'll just keep moving through each section of records. And I'll provide an update on finance when we get to that item. Thank you.
Thank you. Election Commission. We just met. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and there's another one coming up June 30th, correct?
Yeah.
LASA, we have an ops meeting on June 11th at 1 o'clock. And this is our budget season, so we're going to begin with discussion then and take it to the board on June 22nd. Parks Preserves Committee, David Reed, Trustee Reed.
Have not met since our last board meeting. Neither has the LPC.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission, Trustee Brandt.
Yes, we met last night. There's a new, there was approval for a recreational business at 5899 Jackson Road. You might recognize that as the building that has the predominant Hagopian rug sign. The proposal is for simulated golf, 5 bays, BYOB. So just informationally, this will be the third golf simulator business we have in Scio Township. They're taking advantage of an insurance rider that allows them to get insurance for their members bringing alcohol on site. It's called Liquor Host Rider. Just so you know, that happened, might be a possibility for Hometown Pizza. I also want to mention something about the dismissed case. The letter from former Supervisor Hathaway was a little surprising. It was surprising because I believe he had stated repeatedly that the entire thing was out of his hands and there was nothing he could do to stop it. And apparently that was not correct because he wrote one letter and stopped the action. And when all things are said and done, it will probably cost the township close to $500,000. And that is astounding. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Noel Gilman.
We have gotten some testing data from the recent round of dioxane testing that was done. However, it's incomplete, and the county has stated they don't want to release everything until they have all of the data, and they're going to release it all at once. So next time I'll have an update with the information on Gelman.
Thank you. Well, we've touched on the lobbying efforts a bit. I mean, you sent an email. Did you want to speak to that?
Email, but I don't know if it's made packet yet. I can read our lobbyist short report if you want me to.
It appears to be in here, John.
Okay, I printed it out on Friday, but I also have it. So I don't want to deliver our meeting with redundant information. But, essentially, the House, they're not letting go. It's stasis.
That could be positive or negative depending on what you want.
Yeah, you know, if they're trying to screw you over, it's good that they're not doing it. If you want to just agree to things on behalf of our local governance, then it's not.
Okay, thank you. Roads Advisory Committee, we're meeting on June 17th for a special meeting for the last touches on our presentation for the next board meeting on June 23rd. Treasurer Yeaple, Multimodal Transit Committee.
Sure. We're meeting again on June the 18th, so a week from Thursday. More to come at our next meeting.
Thank you. And our operations director, this is your first meeting, so I don't expect that you have a report, but.
I really don't have to report, but I want to thank the board and township for allowing me that opportunity to success. And I want you to be rest assured that I promise to give you 110% of myself, hold myself, those around me, to the highest ever standard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clark.
Where are we? Oh, here we are. We're on L1. Okay, now we're on L2. IT report by CTC Technologies. And they're, oh, hi.
Hello.
They were hiding back there.
Christy, are you able to? Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, in front of you, you guys should see the presentation. Give me one moment to get it up on the screen. It is not letting me present. All right, then we will just go with the one that you guys have, the printed copy. So hello, we're CTC Technologies. I'll get into where we're located and everything in a bit. First, I want to make some introductions. I am Russell Gregory, our director. I am the Director of Managed Services here at CTC Technologies. Behind me, I have in the back, I have Trent, our Senior Network Engineer. I have our founder, Corey. I have our Marketing Director and another one of our sales representatives, Kate. And then next to me, I have Steve. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm the account executive that handles Scio Township. I started at CTC in 2013, and I've been in IT since right around 2000. So it's been kind of a crazy ride. Just been very happy to help Scio Township. Originally got brought in from an open letter from the current or the past IT director, just kind of sharing the state of affairs. And I just knew immediately that we could assist in a variety of different ways. My job is essentially to help make sure that the applications for the township go very fast, they're scalable and secure. We kind of plan for redundancy and resiliency where we can and try to keep it within a budget. I'll make it go.
I just wanted to go over, we're located right down the street. Basically, CTC Technologies handles the IT for a lot of what Scio Township does. So we do, the cabling, we do the, services when it comes to onboarding, those types of things. Attached is the letter, or on this page is the letter that we received. Obviously, it's very small. We can get you guys a copy of that. But there's 2 quotes in there, right? That kind of outline, what the state of IT was before there was a large focus on improving things. We've been involved since 24. I believe that's when the timeline starts. Actually 23. So November of 23 is when we started. And there's a timeline on here of all the different projects that we've worked in that time. Essentially modernizing and bringing the standards of what you guys are working on today up to 2026 standards, and then ensuring that those go forward into the future. So you'll even see there's some ongoing things, right, stuff with the firehouse, all other onboardings, right, onboarding new employees, everything in the township, all the regular maintenance, everything. I also have listed on here the different services that CTC provides today. So it's everything from firewall management, secure remote access, desk side support, which is actually us coming on site and doing things. Again, we're located right on Zeeb Road, so we come over here anytime that there's any issues with any employees that need handled in person. And then the last thing I want to touch on is kind of what makes CTC able to do these things. So we call it our engagement lifecycle, but essentially what it is we are not only an IT provider in like a services sense of coming out and paying per hour or anything like that, but we're also a managed service provider. So we can handle everything under the sun, whether it's, you guys is needing cabling or, actual hardware, people to actually, climb into a roof and, pull cable ourselves, all the way down to troubleshooting a printer or, the wireless isn't working, right? So everything in between we're able to handle.
Yeah, and just to touch on a few of the things that we've kind of done over the course of those few years. We always start with the network. The network is the foundation of everything. It's like in your house, if the network's off, then everything else that you layer on top of it becomes off as well. So we put in an enterprise grade solution for Fortinet. And then we went about kind of cleaning up the user database or Active Directory, making sure that, the users are active, they have the correct permissions, and just tightening up security around user roles and management. We made sure all the Microsoft licensing was accurate. Microsoft is very good about pointing out if you're not compliant. So we want to make sure you're compliant there. One of the biggest ones was virtualizing. So essentially taking many servers and turning into one server and then making sure all the data is backed up. So that if there is a failure of hardware of some sort, we have that data in other places we can archive and recover. We also put in UPSs for battery backup, multi-factor authentication, which is, kind of a necessity today. Like I said, I've been doing this for almost 30 years, 25 years. I've never seen so many bad guys on the internet. It's really quite an interesting arena. Document imaging, I heard that mentioned earlier. Now we're able to scan in a bunch of documents and make sure they're backed up and, move from the paper trail to the digital world. We're also helping with door access control and making sure that's good and that people can move between buildings using their badges and contiguous coverage. Physical security is very important as far as authentication as well as just safety and documentation. And we're going to continue to work with Scio as long as we can and support you any way we can. For my clients, I offer my services free of charge, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But if you need an engineer or someone very bright, I'm going to get them for you. We're going to charge you for that. So, does anyone have any questions for us or concerns?
Trustee Riser?
No.
Nothing?
Other than what's your password?
I
Well, it's not on a sticky note, then I don't mind.
Yeah, right on the public computer.
Right.
Okay. Treasurer Yapel.
I just want to thank you guys for the service that you provide the township. Steve, I know some of your team members, Cameron's been here. One night he was here till what, Jessica, I think 8 or 9 o'clock. Because we were trying to make sure the building was secure because there was an issue with the door system. He had been here since I think 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyways, I appreciate all the hard work. You guys have done a great job of getting things fixed up for us. And really, even Steve, just a couple of weeks ago, we finally got access to the Comcast account and looked at it and said, why are we getting charged so much money? Comcast can do a better job for the township. And I hope to, bring it up to Operations Director Clark here, and maybe later this week, I'll have a quote back from Comcast that might drop our price of internet down $800 or $900 a month. So it's while we do spend a lot, with you guys, there's also cost savings and efficiency that we get out of it. That's huge. So I appreciate the hard work you guys have done and looking forward to more of it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Clerk Flintoff.
Yeah, I just want to thank you. I think our IT is the best it's ever been since I've been here in 2019. And you've kind of done some of the heavy lifting, picking up where Chris Bailey and Julio left off with the IT refresh, which makes it possible for us to do things like security cameras, like, paperless projects. All of this stuff comes back to IT. So really appreciate it. And just want to commend your whole team. Every single member is very strong. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trustee Brandt?
Sure. Hi. I would like to also thank you. Things seem to run smoothly and I appreciate that. noticeably different. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sino, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
And trustee Reed? Anything?
No, just thank you, and I'm glad we're now doing backups.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, take care.
L3, discussion only, presentation by OHM regarding Wagner Dexter Ann Arbor safety study, and our project manager, Chris Chang.
All right. Good evening, Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
The township consultant OHM has been working on a pedestrian safety study for approximately the past 6 months. And this is over at Wagner Road and Dexter Ann Arbor intersection. And they are seeking feedback from the Board of Trustees. They will be making a presentation tonight. And they'll be covering the project's goals, the existing conditions, the pedestrian safety challenges, stakeholder engagement, and recommendations. With that, I can tell you that we already have implemented one of them, which was to move one of the bus stops along Wagner Road. We moved it closer to Elizabeth. So it does give a little bit more room for the pedestrians, but you know, there's still not a sidewalk out there. So it's better than nothing. But with that, I will turn it over to OHM to make their PowerPoint presentation.
It's Adam.
Yep, Adam Jane here. Thank
Yeah.
you. Can you all hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Just sharing my screen here. Let me know when that pops up for everyone.
Awesome.
We got it.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Jaden. I am a project manager with OHM Advisors. I was the project manager for the Dexter Ann Arbor Road and Wagner Road intersection pedestrian safety study. As Chris mentioned, we've been taking a look at the intersection and where the gaps are in the pedestrian network and how we can look to address those and improve conditions for people that are walking the area as well as accessing the transit facilities. Before I jump into the slides here, I just want to say thanks to Chris and Jillian and other township staff who helped connect us with project partners and directed us as we worked through the study and made sure we were on the right track and talking to the right people. And also thank you to the Board of Trustees for having us tonight to present. Getting into it here, just to outline kind of what our task was. So I mentioned we were taking a look at the pedestrian safety conditions around the intersection. Residents had voiced concern that they were unable to access the transit stop, so we were focusing on transit connectivity, finding out and determining what type of near and long-term improvements could be proposed at the intersection, and then continuing to support the township as well as identify potential funding avenues and ways that we can partner with other agencies to address these safety and connectivity concerns. So just to give a quick background, this is an overhead view of the intersection. Wagner Road runs north-south, connects to Jackson Road to the south. It's an important connection over both I-94 as well as M14. We took a quick look at the crashes at the intersection. There wasn't anything notable from a pedestrian standpoint. Most of the crashes were related to, just signalized intersection, people stopping at the intersection and being rear-ended, angle crashes, people trying to make lefts and things like that. Traffic volumes, Dexter Ann Arbor Road has about half the volume of Wagner Road. But as I mentioned, Wagner Road connects down to Jackson Road, an important corridor for Scio Township, and then Dexter Ann Arbor connects to Ann Arbor, which is a big connection for people both driving and biking. So the first thing we did as we were going through this study was take a look at the existing conditions at the intersection. I'll show larger versions of these images, but the orange lines you can see there on the image on the right, that's where sidewalks are missing. So there's no sidewalk connections for people at the homes on Elizabeth Road. There's no connection to the sidewalks on the bridges over M14 for either Wagner Road or Dexter Road. There's no pedestrian signals. There's no accessible ramps at the intersection. And then there are two transit stops. One is located was located just north of Elizabeth Road on the west side of Wagner Road, and then the other one was on the southeast um, corner of the intersection. You can see with the sidewalk gaps, there's no way for someone in a wheelchair or a stroller or someone biking to access these transit stops. And I'll show on my next image here. They're actually in a sloped, unpaved area. So especially think about in the winter time, people having issues getting to these stops and being able to not only connect to the neighborhoods, but continue along Wagner Road, Dexter, and Arbor Road. On the right side of the screen, you can see there is a signal, but there is no pedestrian signal. There's no ramps for wheelchairs or other accessibility mobility items. So it's really a challenge to walk at this intersection and cross Wagner and Dexter and Arbor. These are an example on the left-hand side of the screen of the sidewalks over M14 for both roads. Very narrow. People walking over the bridges, they've got the noise of the freeway or the interstate underneath them, and then they've got the busy traffic right next to them as they walk along the bridge. So it's not very comfortable for people walking. And then you can see sidewalks just abruptly end. There's no notice, and essentially once you reach the end of this bridge, you have nowhere to go. You're walking in grass, and again, I mentioned, in snowy or rainy conditions, you might not know the sidewalk's not there, or it just becomes very difficult to walk along either of these roads. So along with taking a look at some of the challenges at the intersection, we did engage with agencies who have a stake in the intersection as well as surrounding roadways. We kicked it off talking with the RIDE or AAATA, and our discussions with them were centered around transit improvements. Is there possibility they would fund improvements in the future? Talking with them, they're willing to fund and improve bus stops if connections are made. So if there were sidewalks connecting, if there were ramps at the intersection, then they would look at the ridership and take a look at what other types of improvements, whether that's bus shelters or things like that. We did mention to them the location of the bus stop adjacent to the Elizabeth Road intersection, and to their credit, they went out, reviewed it immediately almost, and adjusted that stop so that it was easier for residents to access that transit stop on Wagner Road. Another thing that we brought up to them is while ridership may not be high today, there are daycares in the area and people that are coming from Elizabeth Road and the nearby neighborhoods who want to connect to Ann Arbor, but there may be issues with people not riding the bus because they can't get to the stops. So that's something we want to identify to them and include in our report so that they know Scio Township is interested in spurring transit use in this area and making it easier to access the transit stops. We spoke with the Washtenaw County Road Commission. They are actually repaving Wagner Road, including this intersection in 2028. We noted to them, we would like to see the township would like to see sidewalks constructed as part of that work. There were some funding implications to how that gets done, but again, we've noted in our report, it's a desire of the township to include sidewalks and curb and gutter along that section as well. So Chris and the township will continue to pursue that as they're approached by the road commission about repaving on Wagner in the future. MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation, we spoke to them about the comfort and safety of pedestrians over the bridges, not only on M14, south on Wagner. Wagner goes over I-94. There are actually not sidewalks at all on that bridge. I mentioned that connection to Jackson Road and larger transit and pedestrian connectivity. We've noted in our report there is a need for pedestrian improvements on these bridges. However, they do not complete that work unless there is a major bridge construction project or rehabilitation. So to kickstart that process, MDOT needs it shown in a plan, which we've done through this process to say, hey, the township and the community wants to see sidewalks. So that's just kind of the start of this process. But continuing to have conversations as those projects come up will be critical to getting improvements on those bridges. Finally, we met with the community group Wagner Walks. They had a lot to share about the conditions around the intersection, who was using the transit stops, who was using the sidewalks, and tons of connection points. So they gave us a ton of great resources on what people were connecting to and how this study can identify improvements that will benefit the community and Scio Township as a whole. So to the recommendations, we broke them out into near term. Near term, these can be combined with larger project efforts, like I mentioned, the Washtenaw County Road Commission project, or these can be funded through other grant opportunities, and they're a bit lower on the cost scale and investment from the township and others. So immediately at the intersection, installing crosswalks, making sure pedestrians are visible with pedestrian signals, installing the accessible curb ramps and sidewalk connections, filling the sidewalk gaps, specifically to the transit stops, but also on all four legs of the intersection, just making it easier and safer for people to walk. And then I mentioned before we even got to finalize the report, we were recommending to remove the stop closer to Elizabeth Road so that people in that neighborhood could just walk out of their neighborhood or to the end of the street and hop right on the bus as it came by. I mentioned the ride actually went out and made that change immediately. So we'll include that in our report so they make it a permanent change. But we've heard some great feedback that it makes it a lot easier to get that bus stop. And I imagine as winter comes around, it'll be a huge help to residents and transit riders. Getting into the long-term improvements or surrounding the intersection and making it safer and more comfortable for pedestrians, connecting down and closing the sidewalk gaps over I-94, making the bridges more comfortable to walk across through widening those sidewalks, creating more of a buffer as ridership hopefully improves through the increased connectivity, enhance the transit stop amenities. Scio Township's done this at a number of locations, getting bus pads out there, getting bus shelters out there, benches, things like that. And those are some things that can be grant funded. They can be done through capital improvements, and it really just makes it easier and safer to ride transit. I should have mentioned this earlier. The southeast corner I'll jump back a couple slides here just to highlight it. This southeast corner is owned by the township. It's a potential for space for future improvements as well. Talking with Chris, it's mainly for some utility accommodations and things like that. But there is some room for bus pads and things like that I mentioned in the future that would make it safer and more comfortable to wait for the bus out there. So I mentioned we kind of pulled together some documents and estimates and things like that to support grant funding opportunities. Both SEMCOG and MDOT have transportation alternatives program grants. They're funding for these exact type of projects where you're connecting people walking or biking. Bonus points if you're connecting people to transit and larger transportation networks, with which funding. And then I mentioned the repaving project upcoming, reducing costs by hopefully they're able to fund that or help share some of the costs there, but tying into that improvement project is going to save quite a bit on the construction side if we're able to do those at the same time. And then I mentioned earlier, both for the Michigan Department of Transportation and the Road Commission, having these documented in plans is kind of that first step for larger funding opportunities. So publishing this study that we completed, getting these documents available for them, both of those agencies when they come out to start their projects is kind of that first step for larger funding opportunities. With that, that is the end of my presentation. If we have time for questions, I'm open to those or happy to elaborate on anything we covered in the study as well.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I guess Trustee Reiser has stepped out. I attended many of those meetings with Chris Chang, and I really admire how OHM gathered everybody together, and it took a lot of time. We were able to do at least one little thing, which was move the bus stop, and this is going to be a long time before we are able to implement some of these other, because I think a lot of it rests on the MDOT bridges, which, by the way, I drove under last week, and they're not looking too good. So it may be sooner than what we think. But yeah, thank you so much, Adam, and to the OHM team and Chris. I'm going to.
Sure. Thank you, Adam, and thank you, everybody, for working on this. I greatly appreciate it. I guess one question, Adam, did MDOT give you Supervisor Carey's question, an idea of when the bridge might be up for replacement, if it's maybe, partially in need of it?
They have some minor kind of surface level improvements upcoming, but I think for any major improvements, we're looking at 10 years or more. Unfortunately, I hope that they find some funding and are able to do something, because it'd make a huge difference, especially for that bridge over I-94.
Yeah, and I think the other idea that comes to mind, SEMGOG and the MDOT TAP grants are a good idea. I know we're using a county TAP grant for the Scio Church pathway study this year, which maybe you're even working on, Adam. I don't know. But maybe looking at doing that next year for this as funding opportunity comes up. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. You just reminded me of something. So, Adam, it was important for us to have this plan on file with MDOT, OHM, or you are OHM, with the Washington County Road Commission, so that in the future, if there are any grants or things change, that they already have that. So this was a positive benefit from this presentation. Yeah, thank you. Clerk Flintoff.
No.
Okay. Trustee Brandt.
No comments. Thank you.
Trustee Noel.
I'm good. Thank you.
Trustee Reed.
No, I'll just echo Supervisor Carey's comments. This is what happened on the Zeeb Road Bridge when they built it. We had no plan in place, so they gave us 3-foot wide, really scary sidewalk. So if we have a plan in place, maybe we'll get a real sidewalk when they redo these two bridges. It will take a long time, though, I know.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Project Manager Chris, do you have anything?
No, but if you have any additional comments, please send them to me or to OHM. I'd love to hear your feedback.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Adam.
Yep. Thank you all for the time. I appreciate it.
No public hearings. Let's go to unfinished business. N1, possible action consideration of a personnel matter, and do you have language? Okay, and this was presented by HR Manager Aurora Northrup. I thought I saw her, but go ahead if you have the language.
Sure. I actually had a question for our attorney. I have the language to make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 1A as requested by the named individual. I also wondered if the board, before I make that motion, I also wondered if the board, I would be interested also in going into a closed session pursuant, because our employment attorney is present here and may have an update on the Merck claim 26E 1097 CE. I wondered if the board might also want to go into closed session to consult with our attorney regarding that. So it's really a question for the board. It occurred to me, given that it was brought up in an overly specific way during public comment.
So back to back?
Yeah, it's a question if the board wants to. It just kind of occurred to me as I was sitting here.
Good.
It would be two different closed sessions. We could determine which one we wanted to do before the other, but it occurred to me that the other board members might want to do that. So what do other people think?
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea. I would recommend E before A.
You mean?
The one about the potential claim, the fee claim,
Oh,
so
unless I'm missing something.
right.
so we have it and dot zero.
So
First.
Mariah, would that be, if we did two different closed sessions, would it be one, we come back and then the other? Okay. Then I'll make a motion and see how it lands. I would like to make a motion. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good. So there is no update. Oh, okay, good.
So just A.
All right, then to that, I would like to pursuant to MCL 15.268 subsection 1A, that the board move into closed session to consider the dismissal, suspension, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against, or to consider a periodic personnel evaluation of a public officer, an employee, a staff member, or an individual agent, because the named individual has requested a closed hearing.
Support.
Do we need a 2/3 vote?
A simple majority, but a roll call, please.
Yeah.
Carrie,
Yes.
Yeaple,
Yes.
Flintoff, yes. Grant,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Riser, absent. Motion passes 6-0. The board is now in closed session. The public
Recording in progress.
Okay. Well, welcome back. Do we have a motion to come out of closed session into open session?
So moved.
I'm sorry, you figured out. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
motion passes.
yes, motion passes. Clerk Flintoff.
Sure. I have a motion I'd like to offer. I would like to move to authorize the creation of a second finance assistant position.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, up next is N2, possible action Ember Grove preliminary PUD 08-PUD number 24006 PSP number 24017.
I have my hand raised on Zoom.
I think so. Okay. We all set?
He's finishing up what he needs to do, I believe.
Participant.
Laura, I'll promote you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Laura Krebs, Township Planning Consultant with Carlisle Wortman. Ember Grove first came before the Board of Trustees on February 10th, earlier this year. At that time, there was a lot of discussion on their plan, and the Township Board asked that they go back to the Planning Commission to work on a number of issues. In April, they came back with this revised plan, which identified additional areas of active recreation, provided additional information regarding how the plans have been revised to avoid and mitigate tree removal on the site, provide for the required wetland impact mitigation areas on site rather than off site at an Eagle Wetland Bank. They provided additional guest parking, additional public benefits, and they confirmed that there are no traffic safety concerns in the area. And the Planning Commission recommended approval with some conditions at their May 11th meeting, I believe. And I'm here to answer any questions. You have the full reports in your packet, as well as my background information, the Planning Commission minutes. And it looks like Matt and Brooks are here to answer any questions you might have for the developer or and their engineer.
Okay. Hello.
Evening, everyone. Thank you, Laura. I'm Brooks Cowan with Pulte Homes, Matt Bush with Atwell Engineering. And just to recap some of the changes since we were last here, as Laura was saying, we have the added amenities. We added a gathering area where we can do some type of gazebo pergola within the center part of the site, which is along our walking trail that goes through the woods and various residential units. We've added 24 guest parking spots that are scattered throughout the site near the different gathering areas and different residential units. We coordinated with the Washtenaw County Road Commission and moved the entrance to the community further east to align with the road. I believe it's Excavator Road across the street, and to be further from the church access point. And then another point we want to talk about is the church connection, which we've updated. The neighboring church within this area is one of the land sellers. Upon the initial agreement and discussion, they suggested our walkway trail connect to the property. After further discussion, we decided, coordinated with them, that was no longer desired. But in those discussions, we updated the plans to have a sidewalk connection. And so we'll be running an extra about 100 feet of sidewalk along Jackson Road to connect to the church's access points. And in those discussions as well, we know there's been discussion on screening along the boundary, given the daycare there. And so we're aware of their concerns, and those are items that we feel like we want to be able to move forward with a grading plan and with a final landscaping plan, so that we can pick, where is it good for a fence versus where are opportunities for arborvitae or different trees to use as screening. And so we want something that makes sense. However, we feel like it's a bit premature to make decisions on that at this point. And finally, we just want to talk about the updated public benefit. We are maintaining the $150,000 benefit or donation for the regional utility system. We've also updated to have an extra 25,000 as a donation to the fire department and then 25,000 to the township pathway fund for the township to use at their discretion. So with that, we leave it to you with any questions.
Thank you. Let's begin with trustee Riser.
Not at this time, thank you. I know we'll go around again, but not at this.
Okay, and I have a question. I don't think it's so much for you at this point. There is it says motion discussion, Commissioner Brandt and Chair Culbertson indicated they would oppose the motion because they believe the proposal should return to the Planning Commission. Trustee Brandt, what was the why? I'm just curious if there's. It says in here in the agenda item, Commissioner Brandt and Chair Culbertson indicated they would oppose the motion because they believe the proposal should return to the Planning Commission one more time before moving forward. So what was
the most recent minutes? And Brandt voted nay, but that sounds like you're reading the prior meeting the first time.
No, this is in the agenda item.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
So.
Yeah, so if I could just interject. So that is from the October meeting.
Oh, okay.
And they met again in April where it was a 5-1 vote and Brandt was the only a nay vote. So you're looking at the first time prior to it coming to the board before you sent it back before you sent it back to them to re-review.
Okay, so it passed 6-0 or 7-0?
6-1.
It's passed 5-1 because there was an absent.
5-1.
Oh, there's an absent. Okay, well, I'm curious I wonder why the trustee Brandt, why you voted no, because I want to hear your concerns.
Sure. I think I've been consistent in suggesting the public benefits are not, I don't see the public benefits as assisting the entire township. I've been consistent in saying some of the public benefits listed, I would consider amenities within the community. So for a project of this size, I don't see that Scio Township gets that great a benefit out of allowing this in the furthest western or boundary of our township.
Okay, could you please repeat the public benefits again? I know you mentioned.
In terms of financial contributions, there's 150,000 for a regional utility network. There is 25,000 to the fire department fund, and then an additional 25,000 to the township pathway fund. And those are financial contributions. I believe during the planning commission, we talked about some of the other PUD recognizable benefits. Open space, 38%, well above the 20% minimum. Also satisfies the master plan goals for residential density and how it calls for a diversity of housing. We also feel like what we're proposing with the various types of housing units better aligns with the goals of the master plan than a by right industrial development.
Okay, thank you.
So, excuse me, so I disagreed with his point of view.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer Yapel.
Yes. I'm actually going back to the minutes of our board meeting where you presented to us the first time. $150,000 for sanitary sewer improvements. Did you not come up with a total? Maybe I'm just not remembering it. I thought your total number was $400,000 as a ballpark last time. So that's kind of, I was trying to see if I just was remembering that differently than it happened.
Could that be a different proposal maybe?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know where the 400,000 came from. Sorry.
Well, $400,000 unit price was one of the numbers that may have been.
Okay.
That was a long meeting several months ago, just like this one. I don't have the concerns as far as we need more housing. I like the fact that there's different types of housing. I don't love how many trees we have to cut down, but okay. Yeah, I don't have a whole. I do. I do wish there would be more transit. You know, it's something I've been talking with SEMCOG about, is getting transit down to you guys. I know I questioned that last time, that there was talk of a bus stop being there, and the bus service ends over a mile prior to your site. Sort of how there was sidewalks that went to nowhere, but that's not necessarily your problem because you can't dictate what your neighbors built before you. But yeah, I've been talking to SEMCOG about what we can do to get more bus service. So yeah.
And to that end, having a residential development on the western end of town gives more of a destination and connectivity and coordinating with them to it.
All right, I defer. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Clerk Flintoff.
So I have a question, maybe for Laura or for the applicant. So one of the concerns noted is the additional tree preservation and grading review. What are our options with the additional tree preservation, Laura?
So, Brooks can probably speak to this better than I can, but until they can start to do their engineering, their final engineering, we won't really have a total of tree preservation or removal. So I'm just going to kind of let Brooks and Matt talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So Matt Bush, with that, what we have done for the preliminary site plan that's in front of you, we have gone boots on the ground and actually taken a look at the groupings of trees and the general understanding of what trees are in each grouping to look for the higher quality trees. We lumped the majority of the development within the farmland area, so there were minimal tree takedown, and we tried to stay out of the more denser and more mature hardwoods found in C area up top there, if you can see that small graphic. So we are not required per ordinance to do an individualized tree survey, which costs a lot of funds in order to produce. And at this time, we feel like we have done our homework and are staying out of the areas, and we will certainly, understanding that that's a sensitive topic, we'll revisit that during the final site plan when we do have some sort of assurance this can move forward. And then there is we have individual tree survey to selectively move units as needed to try and save larger trees.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Trustee Brandt, we're back to you. Do you have anything more? No, sorry.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Knoll.
I have a question in terms of the contributions that you would be making to the township. The $150,000 you said was to go to the utility system. I'm curious now, I know that there is going to be an expansion of the water line out there. Is that correct? Is that what does this money cover any of the expansion of water and sewer to the site? Or is it additional money that would be given to the township, to the utilities department?
It's additional money. So there's already sewer and water out front along Jackson.
Okay.
Separate from these funds, this donation fund.
Okay.
The developer will be installing water main on Parker Road to connect a loop. We have not included that in these funds. These are completely separate. These are more targeted towards an understanding that there's some pump station that needs to be upgraded in the area. And so this is our proposed donation to that, or however else the township sees.
But the utilities director can't make the decision on how this money
No, we're just understanding where there's needs in the township, and we made this on our own.
But it's our choice, township's choice.
That's my
as to how it's allocated.
In conversations with staff, the township staff identify needs within the
Right.
utility. Yeah.
There are needs.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything? You're good?
I'm good.
Okay, Trustee Reed.
Well, I was surprised to see us come back with few of my concerns addressed that I voiced at the last meeting. And I think the contribution to the fire department and parks is, as our resident Rob Pattinson mentioned, is paltry in compared to the need and compared to the profit. I noticed in the first page, you list 24 guest spots, and in fact, you mentioned 24 guest spaces, but I look at the blueprint and there's 26. So I'm just curious, is it 26 or is it 24? So that's the question for you to look at. In the PUD, proposed PUD recognizable benefits, the second one talks about the, where is it? Talks about fact that there are retail and residential will bring benefit to the township. And I'm curious, where is the retail? Because I don't see any retail in here. It's, what's it, number 2? Increase rate, no, not that one.
On the slides or in the letter?
In what we have in our packet.
What page are you looking at?
Okay, let me come back I'll come back to that.
Okay.
One of the things I mentioned with the number of homes, 257, I think it is, there's no common space for family gatherings. A pergola is not a place for family gathering. Pergola is not a clubhouse. It's not a pool. It's not a tennis court. It's not a basketball court. It's a place where maybe 4 or 5 people can sit around and talk. It's not a family gathering, in my mind. So there's no real common area for a resident or a development this size. There's no real common area for people to gather and hang around. And a 0.47 acre park is not what I would think of as a recreational area. Probably can't even throw a baseball in that limited amount of space. With 250 some odd houses, I think the number of houses you have, I think the average household size in Scio Township is 2.55, which means we'll have approximately 650 humans living there, presumably about 150 children. And I see no provisions whatsoever for that number of people and that number of children to have any kind of quality of life. What's it called? The family condo units, 104 units that are just back to back, side to side, back to back. There's no real recreational space, no real space for the kids to get out. And once again, there's no protection for the church. And I know the church is really concerned about that. And there's no fence. So I'm real concerned about that. And I'll come back. I'll find out what I was talking about with this retail, because I might have been looking at the wrong thing. So I'm not supportive of this still. Thank you.
Yeah, if I could address some of those comments, we're willing to work with you on the gathering area. We're proposing within the central portion where the walkway is. We feel like that's a detail that can get worked out in the final site plan. We want to look at, we don't want to lose the forest from the trees here, in that we want to look at the big picture. We need to get a grading plan and a landscaping plan to move forward on working out those finer details. If you want a larger gathering space, we can work with you on that. We can do that as an approval or a condition for final site plan as we move forward. And then in regards to the other gathering space for the playground, we've had that in there, that playground is typical for our developments. And with the parking, we can whittle that number down too, or look into it for detail. Oh, and also the screening, sorry. We're having that conversation. We are looking into things and what we can do. However, again, as we do a tree survey and grading, then we'll have an idea of what are the trees along the boundary between us and the church, what quality of tree as well. And so we'd want to look into that before we start looking at what kind of fence are we doing, or can we do some more landscaping as screening. We were looking at, option 1 as a fence along that property line, or in talking with Laura, some of the daycare requirements that have fencing around the playground that are required. However, we also feel like those are items that we can take care of as we move forward in final site plan. We want to look at the big picture here for 259 units. How is the unit mix? How does it align with the master plan? And then can we work out those details as we move forward with final? So we are in conversation with the church. As we move forward, we can reach out to talk about the fence more in detail as when we do more research with boots on the ground. It's not an item that we're leaving behind. We're cognizant of it and can work with you on that as well.
Trustee Riser, you're up next. You didn't speak the first time.
This question for Laura. Perhaps if she's out there.
She is.
Is this gonna come back for a final site plan approval?
Yes.
Yes.
So if they make statements about working with the church to resolve the issue of the fence or vegetation, either a fence or vegetative fencing, and 6, increase the size and functionality of the gathering space, that would come to us to address Trustee Reed's concerns about having something more for so many people.
Correct.
But would you recommend to include those if the model motion were passed, that as conditions like number 5 and 6?
Yes. Yeah. If there's something specifically that you are concerned about, that you, I think the sample motion you have has a number of items listed. I would encourage you to add to that list or to modify that list to make you comfortable with that approval with conditions.
Trustee Riser?
I'm writing now. Thank you. I yield. Thank you.
I found my retail. So you come back.
When we come back. I just have, I'm in general support of all of this. I think it's going to be really nice, but I do have concerns, just like what Trustee Reed had said about playground, open space, having more of a community. There's, I think French Country Estates, they have a nice area. I don't know how large it is, if they could, play baseball or anything like that, but I think that's really important. And also, I'm concerned about the public benefits. The $150,000 for utilities is great. The fire, a little low for, how many units again? 250?
59.
59, okay. And Treasurer Yapel has mentioned about transit. Yes, transit does not go that far, and hopefully eventually it will. The transit for Scio, we really need funds, and I would like to see that would be more of a community benefit that would help others at this point. So I would suggest coming up with a number for that, or raising the number for the fire. I like the open spaces and the different types of housing. I think that's really nice. But that's all I have to say. Treasurer Yapel.
Thank you. Actually, here's an idea. This development's going to pay a significant amount of tap fees, which can be used to upgrade the regional sewer infrastructure. That's one of the things those fees go towards. I'd be more open to seeing the 150 grand spent, 75 fire, 75 transit. Just an idea. And if that's acceptable to people, I'd move the model motion in the interest of brevity, but up to folks.
Support your model motion, but I would ask if you would allow friendly amendments. Number 5, to work with the adjacent church to develop a satisfactory fencing or natural landscape plan. And 6, increase the size and functionality of the public space to allow a larger gathering space and a playground.
Support that.
Could you repeat what you said about the 75,000 fires?
Instead of the $150,000 going to regional sewer, I would recommend it goes 75,000 towards the fire department and $75,000 towards the public transit fund.
I'm gonna walk it down. But
Okay, but
yes, work with the adjacent church to develop a satisfactory fencing or natural landscaping plan. And 6 was increase the size and functionality of the public space to allow a larger gathering area and a playground.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, for quick.
No, not two playgrounds, but
Oh, just for clarification, though, in public space, this is private property. So just for the sake of terminology, could we call it common area?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And then my other question is for the splitting of the 150 into 75, 75.
You add on the original money from the fire.
So it'd be
100.
That way your dollars don't change, but your allocation does. Does that make sense?
Sure. I have a photo of it. And I haven't asked, I go by it. Down here. So ages 5 to 12, the capacity is, I used to know this off the top of my head, 28 to 35 kids. We do safety mulch. We also have a drainage network installed underneath. It has 3 slides, a little climbing thing for it.
Are there tables?
We can provide tables. We can provide tables and benches for the open space. We can add more details. In final site plan, I can outline all of the specs for these common areas and go into detail on that.
Then I would revise mine, increase the size and functionality of the common area to allow a larger gathering area with tables and benches.
Fine with me.
Before we move on, if we don't mind, Peace Lutheran is here.
Did you drop the playground in your motion, John and Ryan?
Yeah, because it already
I just
happened.
wanted to clarify.
Yes, I did. I'm still gonna walk it down to you, just.
Okay, Peace Lutheran is here. We represent, did you say?
Oh, we've been having conversations with them. They have our cell phone numbers. I'm not sure if they're in the crowd.
Oh, okay. We thought there were, but
sorry.
no. Yes, and when I spoke with Laura Krebs earlier or yesterday, and she said that there are ongoing conversations because there was an email that came through, but she said that was going on. So, Clerk Flintoff, I guess you're up next. Are you right?
Yeah,
I've lost track. Everybody's.
Yeah, I want to say, I think with the community benefits, definitely prioritizing transit and fire, that's a much better use of our limited request to get community benefit than water and sewer, which is supported. I would say, I would like to see a more meaningful level of community benefit overall. A question, just based on the township's past experience, we have under 3, the church connection approval, and then we have under 5, work with adjacent church to develop a satisfactory fencing or natural landscaping plan. My concern is really a process one, that we put a condition on that the 2 parties are going to reach something mutually agreeable. And I think we've been around this before. What if they don't? And how will we know if they do? Are we expecting it to be on the site plan? Are we expecting it? I don't know. It's kind of a process question for Laura or Mariah.
We can outline that in our narrative as well. For final site plan.
And I appreciate that, and I trust you will, but we have had other projects with PUD conditions that rely on 2 parties, not us, to come to agreement, and they don't, or it's disputed.
They're also a land seller in this, and so they're one of the 4 land sellers in this. Yeah. So
Laura, how would we know? Like, how would the township know that there's a satisfactory agreement?
Well, I think we can ask at final site plan that, the church provide us with documentation that there, if Brooks can provide it as part of the application, then we can ask for him to supply a letter of support for the project at that time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
But most of our communication is by phone. So.
Are you?
Yeah, publicly required.
Okay. Trustee Brandt, anything new?
I guess the only thing I would say, we talked a lot about the master plan, and is this in compliance or consideration of the master plan? Our master plan does talk about development along Jackson Road. It also talks about housing and density. What it doesn't say is when these things have to happen. So it doesn't say that the township must develop parcels on the western edge immediately. So I'm not in support of this project because I don't think it's the right project in the right location.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Knoll.
I'm probably going to support this, but it's borderline. I'm kind of on the fence. So it's a compact proposal that a lot of homes kind of crowded together, and that concerns me. And however, it is along an area that we've designated for development. And, that's probably why I will support it. And you are making some contributions for community benefit. I wish it was more, but you're doing some, and I see that. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Reed.
I found my retail issue. It's on the very first page of your document. Down in the lower left-hand corner, you've got the project narrative, and then you've got proposed PUD recognizable benefits. The second point, increased tax base. The distribution of retail and higher density will provide an economic boost to the township, general tax base. Now, I'm assuming that's talking about retail within this development, but
I think they're meaning the project with 259 units and family members would be a catalyst project for this side of town, as well as putting people within the retail stores, the commercial places, the restaurants. You're adding that element of economic contribution to the Jackson Road corridor. And so I think when they reference that point, it's in terms of increased tax base as well as enhancing retail. It's the nearby retail from the 259 new homes.
what you're saying is you're bringing more customers into Scio's businesses.
Correct.
Okay, that, all right. And just if you look on your detail map where you've got the various parking spots, you've missed, or unless you've removed them, there are 2 spots on Road B or Road D that add your count to 26 guest spots. It's Road D, which is a cul-de-sac, the southernmost cul-de-sac. You've got something that looks like 2 parking spots, which I'm assuming makes your count 26, which is still woefully insufficient for 259. That's only 1 guest spot for every 10 houses. So, but why can't it? So you are absolutely opposed to having anything like a clubhouse or any?
Not opposed to it. That's something we can look into. That's just an item that we want to be able to drill down into for final site plan.
Well, okay. I mean, all right.
And it sounds like it's a part of a condition of approval for final site plan.
Well,
that was being discussed.
For 600 or 700 people, yeah, you need something where they can gather as a group. Not all of them, but neighbors get together and do things. And you want to, what you're creating here, we would like you to create here is a neighborhood. This is just something that's more like the projects. So it's not what I would call a neighborhood. The way it's laid out is what I mean. So, you know Levittown? Yeah, okay.
Okay, and this will come back to us,
Mm-hmm.
not for this final, there's one more step. That's correct.
We would go back to the planning commission for final site plan review. They would make a recommendation. Then we'd be back here for final site plan.
And the development.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we have a model motion?
Oh, we have a motion.
We have a motion. Well,
Me and Riser.
could we repeat that again?
Motion by Yeaple, support by Riser to approve the Ember Grove preliminary PUD, OA PUD 24006, PSP 24017 with the following conditions to be addressed during final PUD site plan. 1, resolve concerns noted in the planner's review dated November 4th. 2, resolve concerns in the engineer review dated October 24th. 3, resolve concerns noted in tonight's meeting, including but not limited to on-site wetland mitigation, church connection approval, privacy fence for the neighbor in the northeast corner of Jackson Road and Parker Road, appliance and utility options promotion of all electric homes, examination and availability of water sense plumbing fixtures, and additional tree preservation and grading review. Number 4, review of Jackson Road access drive shift as part of final PUD site plan review. 5, work with adjacent church to develop a satisfactory fencing or natural landscaping plan. 6, increase size and functionality of the community area to allow for a larger gathering area with tables and chairs. Benches, were they chairs or benches? They're benches. Tables and benches.
With legs, right, John?
Thank you.
No, just tables and beds.
And a proposed redistribution of the proposed contribution to water and sewer to instead split that 50-50 to transit and fire.
Correct.
What, transit and fire? I thought it was fire and pathway. I mean,
Transit and fire.
Okay, great. I prefer that over
The pathway is to remain. It's clarification.
okay, that's good. Okay, let's roll call vote, please.
Okay.
If I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to understand. My name is Joe Storm with Pulte Homes.
Yep.
I heard all electrification. I just wanted clarification on that.
No.
We are proposing electric options in
Yes,
the community.
that's what it says.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misheard.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was, that's the same as when you were here before, that it's an option.
Thank you.
Roll call vote tonight. We're starting with Riser. Riser,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Yeaple,
Yes.
Flintoff, no. Grant,
No.
Noel,
Yes.
Reed.
No.
Motion passes 4-3. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next is
Is there consent of the board to move 01 after 04? Oh, I mean, we do actually have somebody here for actually on the available.
I'd rather just move the item, or I don't think it will take that long.
Whatever the board wants.
Hey, moving 01 after 04, since we have people here for we have people here.
My only ask is then we would release any individuals that are hanging around for 01, so they don't have to wait.
In person.
Yeah, just online. You release stuff. The board doesn't anticipate any questions for them. Okay, great. Anyone here who is here for 01, I believe from ADP, thank you for hanging tight and good night.
oh. Okay. All right, let's move on to 02, possible action. Tax increment financing TIF presentation by Ryan Tobias for Crossroads, a multifamily lifestyle apartment community at the corner of Liberty and Wagner Roads. Please come to the table.
And sorry, that was the title that was on this item last time. Wait.
It is. I have the wrong list.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, please.
Hi, Nathan.
I do have a brief presentation I'd like to share. I've not done that before, but I'm gonna try to pull it up. Yeah, so do I just click on the,
You have to be on the Zoom, not the live stream.
okay.
Yep.
I don't know if how do I get to that? Is it-
You don't get the agenda on the
Yeah.
website. I can show you.
Yeah,
We hand out our copy.
yeah, I did hard copies too. Just, yeah. Okay.
See that? It's unfortunate.
Got it. Sorry, I've done this before. Oh, yeah.
You join that and then you raise your
Okay. Okay, thank you. It'll just take a quick second. Okay. It's just connecting still. Raise my hand.
You want
Has it been-
me, Ryan, or that Ryan?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I can quickly fill everyone in. Ryan Tobias had been in contact with the township. He had gone back to Nathan at the county from the brownfield side of it and looked at what he could offer as a additional I guess incentive or a change to the plan. Nathan had encouraged, as well as Ryan Tobias had encouraged the board to make a final decision. The change to the plan specifically from what we've seen before the other 3 times is specifically this went from 80% area median income down to 60% area median income. So individuals who make less are now able to qualify. Ryan can speak to that a little bit in a minute. Tends to be a little bit more advantageous for people that have a little bit lower income. And really he's asking us to make a decision. That's something that when this came up last in February, we talked about it informally and the board didn't want to see it back, but this was a change that was substantial enough that I wanted to offer it to the board. And the board can make the decision, but certainly it goes towards a number of our master plan goals, including offering more attainable or affordable housing. The PUD itself is approved. It's just a question of does the board want to go through with the TIF? But I can turn it over to you guys unless anyone on the board has questions for me before they go quickly through this.
I don't think so.
If I make a motion again, is there gonna be support? Otherwise, they're wasting their time.
I was wondering if we just want to start deliberating.
I mean, what I wanna know is there at least going to be some, if I move this for sake of argument, is there going to be support?
I'll support it.
Okay, there you go.
What's your motion, John?
Well, I'm going to move but I'll wait for a moment.
Well, you just made a motion and Ryan just seconded it. Okay.
But I can't, I'll move the model motion
To approve or to deny?
to approve.
Okay.
Yeah, but first of all,
I think I'm jumping the gun.
yeah, okay. I would like to hear.
You want them to withdraw their motion? There's a motion on, with a second on the
Fine with
table.
withdrawing.
Well, to approve the Crossroads PUD.
So you want to withdraw it?
Fine with withdrawing.
Fine with withdrawing.
Just getting
because
clear.
There might be some modifications for the minute, but I'm going to move a motion of some sort, because it sounds like I'm gonna get a support.
Oh,
But I
okay.
don't want it.
Okay, so it's withdrawn. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Ryan, go ahead. I would.
Okay, yeah, well, I appreciate the reconsideration. Last time we presented this was a different plan. We tried to listen to a lot of feedback. We had a lot of discussion last time. We've had some conversations leading up to this point. We've changed the plan in a number of ways that we think are for the positive, and that's why we're here today to kind of present that update and hopefully offer it for the board's consideration. In the interest of time, I have this deck. Provides a number of information about us and the project. I believe everyone is familiar with who I am. I'm Ryan Tobias. I live here in Ann Arbor. The Crossroads project is something that we're moving forward with. We have a lot of experience doing this. These are some of the projects that we have done, including Packard Row here in Ann Arbor that some of you are familiar with, which is a wonderful project. Important to note that we build, we hold our properties. We really try to build for the community and continue to hold and operate the properties. We're not a merchant builder or flipper. This is a 212 unit community. Great sustainability features, great community benefits features. That's been coming up a lot here. We have bus stops that we budgeted to build. We have 90,000 to the fire department. We have, in the time since we last met, I've been coordinating with the chief on the fire department project next door, trying to provide connectivity to our site, try to provide construction coordination to save the township money, and continue to work with them on that. And we believe this just meets a really pressing need in Scio Township, and not just for apartments, for really true, affordable housing, which is really what we're here to talk about today. I've filled up a couple of graphs just to show you. This is Washtenaw County. This is the Ann Arbor MSA. And we all know this, right, of what has happened here as far as that's home prices on the left, that's asking for rents on the right for the last 10 years and the rapid increases we've seen. The Mishta Housing Program is a TIF. It is the program, the one program that's available to us to provide a portion of affordable housing. The other one being the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, which is a broader project or broader program for really the entire community to be. This is our primary tool. It does, like I said, does involve a TIF, and it's what we plan to use here. There's some information in here about what a TIF can fund and what it works like. I just trying to include a little more information than I have in times past. I realize you get a brownfield plan and a TIF table and everything, and it's 100 pages of information and tables, and it doesn't just kind of explain it in simple terms. And that's kind of what we try to provide here. And just a reminder on process, this comes to you first, then it goes to Nathan, who is here from the Washtenaw County Brownfield Redevelopment Authorities Board, and then it goes to the county commissioners, then up to the state to get approval. This is a program the state is pushing us hard, but it starts here. And without your approval, we can't do this. The big thing to remember here is this is just a piece of land. It will probably eventually be developed if we're unable to be successful here. It may be something else down the road. Right now is a piece of dirt. The capture of the taxes is just the difference between what it is now, very low tax level for just being raw land, to what it is when we build this project. And I'll get to that in a second of what we've done here on the changes to this plan, because we did listen and we listened hard. What we heard was a couple different things. One, try to provide a deeper level of affordability. We were trying to do 80% AMI and 80% rents. And
we didn't feel like those were providing enough affordability. The max rent I think that you can charge for a 2-bedroom on 80% is still like over $2,000. It's just not a level that we felt like was sustainable in this community. It's not filling the need that we wanted to fill. So we adjusted that, and so it's now a fairly unique plan where residents making up to 80% AMI, but rents set at 60% AMI. That's for 20% of the units. That's for 25 years. So it's a deeper level of affordability for those 43 units, which is 20% of the 212. We did that not only because we heard that from members of this board, but also because in looking around at our community, Nathan's office helps administer a few other affordable, quasi-affordable projects, and the 80% units just aren't getting it done. They're not getting filled. They're not, they're just not successful. And so we want it to be successful. We want to fill a need. And it was just something that we heard. So your big changes here there is that move to a lower AMI rent level. The other thing that we heard a lot about was tax dollars, tax revenue of what it is today, the services that the township needs, and to see more money flowing through. So another unique thing that we decided to do is we have 10%, instead of capturing 100%, which is what the project allows for, that TIF capture to pay for this affordable housing component, we're only capturing 90. We're putting 10% through so that the county or the township, as well as the county and all the taxing bodies, still receive more money tomorrow, than they do today. We also heard from at least 2 of the trustees specifically that the administrative fees, the load that this program bears was too high. And so we were able to get approval from Nathan's board.
Well,
the subcommittee. Right. It would, again, yes, apologies. It would still have to go to the full board, but the subcommittee approved for the plan, a reduction, to cut that in half, to cut that administrative fee in half. It's a smaller share. These programs do cost money. They will be administered by Nathan's, department for the 25 years. And so there is a cost to that. There is just obviously legislative costs and things like that. But we've done the best that we could with this program to cut that cost down. It does cost more money to offer these units at that lower rent level. It's just a dollar for dollar. The amount of this TIF has increased by only exactly those dollars. The gap between offering these units at 60% AMI for a period of 25 years is the difference. And it takes a longer period of time, and now goes to 18 years until it's reimbursed. Just to give you like where we were looking at here, these rent levels, these are now the new rent levels where we're at. We just feel like they're just at a much better affordability level. The income level is still at that 80% AMI, and we've shown you kind of who we're thinking about here, who in this community, what they make, what they might be able to rent at, and who we're trying to serve. There are lots of other professions, obviously, that make things in this range. We just came up with some of the most common ones we thought that would be prospective renters who their needs are not being met right now. They make too much money to be in true affordable housing that might be offered by the Ann Arbor Housing Commission or something like that. And the market is not serving them. So this is a summary table. And again, you guys have this all in front of you. You can review it at any time of the differences between what we had last year when we talked and we agreed to table it, which is again why we're back here. It wasn't denied, it wasn't approved, it was agreed to be tabled. And we took that time, and it's been a while, to really work on this, to listen to people and try to come up with a better plan. And I know it's more money, but I think we're getting more out of it, and it's a better project and a better plan. And again, the increase is really just that dollar amount, and that's that's just what it costs. This last page, or one of these last pages here, just kind of show you just from a dollar perspective, because I think the township, rightfully so, is trying to be responsible with their money. If the project was never built, taxes over the next 20 years, $171,000 flows through to the township, to the services that you guys need here. Even with this TIF proposal, That's $400,000 over that time period. After that, it's $200,000+ a year, every year for the foreseeable future after that. So you're giving something up for a period of time, you're getting an affordable housing component, and then in the long run, you end up with a very, fiscally responsible thing. I looked at just the fire department, just as an example. That's been a hot kind of issue and someone that I've been talking to a lot recently. So it was on our mind about what that looks like for them down the road. It's more money for them, right now if this is approved, and then down the road, it's really, really, really beneficial. So again, I wanted to go through that relatively quickly. I know it's a long meeting. We've had this conversation before. I just wanted to leave you with, and I'll answer questions. I think it's very clear that there's a need here in Scio Township and in the Ann Arbor area for more affordable housing. I think it's really clear. It's really hard to do. There are no perfect projects. They all take money. Something has to be before you to be able to decide to do or not. It's easy to say, well, there'll be another better one sometime down the road. There may or may not. This one is here. It's available. With this pass-through, you're still generating more tax revenue. You're getting in return an affordable, property, 43 homes for people for a generation. And in the end, it'll be a great financial move in the long run for the township. So I'd ask you just to consider all those factors in your discussion tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Trustee Reiser, let's begin with you.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for reworking it. Thank you for getting affordable housing component, the lower AMI, 10%. I guess I want to hear from Nathan. Nathan, how did you guys, what steps did you guys take to make the project more desirable?
Well, as Ryan was saying, I was here at that meeting as well, and I heard the concerns about the admin. I think at that time it was 1.9 million to help fund the county brownfield program. I think LPRF was a concern, and general tax capture was a concern. So I'm, collaborating with, hearing you all, collaborating with the developer and his team, and trying to look at the plan. What can we do to the plan to address those concerns? Hence the 10% pass through, which I've only had 2 other projects that have done that. Reducing admin, our policy is 10%. The authority just raised it to up to 20 because we have concerns about future viability with the program, because our admin has actually dipped. But we lowered it to 5 for this as a gesture of, again, addressing the concerns. And then the affordable housing piece, I was always kind of in favor of more affordability, lower. And Ryan kind of came to that on his own. And I agree that the approach that he's proposing to take is something that colleagues in my office have talked about, which is when you set income and rent at the same AMI, there's a very small window of candidates that you can rent to. But here what we're doing is saying rents are going to be 60, but the income of the household could be 65, 72, 78, all the way up to 80. And that actually makes the whole project easier to rent and easier to fill those apartments. And this is something we're seeing a little bit more for other units that we monitor. So the 60% AMI, 10% pass through, the admin going down to 5%. The other thing the authority is looking at is projecting out into the future for appreciation. We've been at 2% since 2008, 9, 10, when it was actually pushed down to 1 due to the crash. We've been at 2% for long years. Now we're going up to 3. So now we're advocating 3%. Again, we're trying to create a plan that is the best projection, but also conservative. We don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to come back to you in 20 years and say, well, this is going to be a 25-year plan. Sorry, we didn't project with enough conservative approach. So beyond that, the 3% appreciation, AMI,
admin. Again, trying to come back. And I ran this all through my 3-member subcommittee. I always have some board members help me review the plan in collaboration with the development team, with the local unit, so that they can bring this to the full board when it comes to them and say, hey, we've reviewed this. Here's why we are deviating from our policy, whether it's admin or other factors. And so they have agreed to this. So it's not just going to be staff saying, oh yeah, I'm in favor of this. It's some authority members that have agreed to it as well.
And how
Sort of rambling, sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
What process is there for ensuring that people are income qualified? Is that OCED or is that Minister? How does that happen?
Great question. So these being under the Brownfield program, these will fall under the county authority's purview. I regularly bounce things off of other colleagues in my office that have much more experience with this, and they're very great resources. So our department as a whole has a great experience and resources doing this, but it technically will be the authority. We will have an affordability agreement with the developer for the 25 years of their stated commitment, and it will be my job to oversee and monitor these 43 units for 25 years.
Okay.
Right. So to be clear, I'm not the initial one reviewing households or applicants.
You provide that information to your office.
Right. We do a secondary audit, essentially. Yeah.
Thank you. I yield.
Okay, I'm next. Yeah, I've thought a lot about this, not just this program, but or proposal. Others as well. I mean, Scio Township is a wealthy community. It's a very expensive, and most of our staff live 45 minutes to an hour away. And, every meeting I go to with county or supervisors or whatnot, we're all talking about affordable housing, attainable housing. And last night when I woke up in the middle of the night, I read an article that the county commissioners were arguing over a proposal. I think it's on State Street, and about the I think this is very similar. Arbor South. Okay. Yeah. And it did pass, but I understand that I think we have the benefits, community benefits before that would take away from the community benefits as far as money and whatnot. But if we don't do something, we're not going to be able to offer housing to people that cannot live here because it's too expensive. So I am in support of this. And even past couple of days, I was saying to myself, and I've said it to others, what is the sweet spot that would benefit the people in need, attainable housing, the township and the developer, and then you come back with this, which is much better than what you had before. So I am in support of this. Treasurer Yapel?
Thanks. I know Arbor South was controversial in its own way, but this is a little different. This is it's a significantly smaller ask. I still get it's a significant ask from total dollars, but it's not even 10% of that project. So that's good. I like that we're looking at workforce housing. I know one of the things, Ryan Tobias, when you and I spoke on the telephone, you're working, in the community, you're working with the Community Land Trust and seeing what you can do from that angle for even more deeply affordable. This is something where potentially, as Supervisor Carey said, maybe it's something that could work for some of our staff, or it could work for some of the people that are already in the community and they need somewhere that's affordable to live. I mean, the other thing I'd reference is it's a couple more pages back, but at first glance, your math checks out. But I've also been here since 7:50 this morning, so sorry I didn't have a chance to look at all of it. The slide or page, the more money for Scio Township services, when I look at this, and like I said, I believe the math ties back to the TIF table from what I've been able to look at. You know, we would receive more income. You know, this land is just land with nothing on it right now. You know, we would get more for the bus. We would get more for conservation. We would get more for operating. We would get significantly more for fire. I get there's still, and Nathan and I have talked about this before. I understand, you know, I'd love some of the laws to change as far as how the state brownfield fund works and how this thing works. And that's not like your guys' problem other than Nathan and I spitballing this and talking to our legislators. That's not something we're going to solve today. But yeah, I'm overall in support of this. I understand that I might be on the opposite side of several of my colleagues, and that's okay. Thank you.
Clerk Flintoff.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, Ryan, I was looking at this chart too and was noticing that it's missing a column about how much we would bring in if it were built without the TIF.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is what we approved you to do, is to build it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that, you know, there is a place for TIFs and a place for pilots and a place for public subsidies. And I appreciate there's been changes in ownership, but I don't think it's the taxpayer's responsibility to make up whatever shortfall there is to developing this property. And if there's not a shortfall and it's really about we're going to develop it, you know, whether we get this TIF or not, you know, I would like to see that. But quite honestly, again, it goes back to this was zoned industrial. It is across the street from an asphalt plant. It is across the street from an asphalt plant. It was approved commercial, I think unanimously, a PUD commercial unanimously. Subsequent to that, it got revised to be housing because there were already mixed feelings. That got approved through a contentious vote. And then a TIF subsidy came. We've extended the site plan approval. And I have to say, what I would like to see, given that a majority of a prior board approved this for housing, I would like to see you build it for housing. And then we'd get this column, which is way bigger. Then the taxpayers would be getting the return of the full benefit of all of our voted millages. And we'd really be able to invest in the services and housing and everything else we want to do without the constraints of what is still a pretty new and admittedly pretty poorly designed state program. I am a big supporter of the TIF. Nathan, you do a great job. You work with my partner, Tara. You do so much good in the community, and thank you. I just want to say, I want us to use the capacity we have, TIFs, pilots, all of these really judiciously. This project does not fit that for me. I appreciate Kathleen and Ryan serving on as the board liaisons for the Broward TIF. You know, that has some real environmental contamination is probably coming back to us at some point. We've gotten approached for a deeper pilot for the Lakestone Apartments. I was really proud that the 2019 board instituted that. They've now come back and asked us, and we're starting to have conversations about tornado shelters and community benefits, really tangible benefits for the people who live there. And then we have some nascent kind of exciting ideas for our property at the end of Stapler. There's so many public subsidies that I think are worthy that we can be strategic about. I don't think this is a strategic investment of what should be limited public subsidy for developers who are providing some public good. I think the housing TIF is the wrong program to use. We all want affordable housing, but any affordable housing anywhere across from a asphalt plant, away from Jackson Road, I still don't think this is the right place for housing. I'd much rather see housing developed along Jackson Road where we have transit and sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
I would also just say that I know how hard you're working on this. I appreciate the pitches. I really don't mind if you're here 4 or 5 or 6 times. I was just giving my colleague Ryan a little bit of a hard time, just asking why we're back here. But what I'd like to see you do is build this housing, bring us some good market rate housing. It's not my ideal site, but a majority of the board approved it. We extended your site plan once, and I'd like to see the project as planned, as approved, to be built without the public subsidy to do so. Thank you.
Trustee Brandt.
Oh, I've got so much to say. Okay, first I'm going to start with, I've got notes here. I wrote about this project in the Scio Township newsletter. And I detailed that it was, whatever the value was, $18 million. The township declined this. I did get responses back. I got supporting the vote of the board. I got 0 responses back that our citizens wanted this project as a TIF. So if we pass this, of course, I'm going to write another article and said, oops, some people changed their mind on the board. So there you go. I guess I'm going to state that I've also looked at the Arbor South project quite a bit. And honestly, I strongly agree with Thomas Weider, the attorney in Ann Arbor, who details that this program the state policy is flawed and details all the reasons why. It takes away so much taxes. So I fully agree with him. And also, this project was approved without a TIF. So therefore, the purchase price reflected that reality. I believe if you bought this with the TIF, you would have been paying more money for it because there was $5 million additional money to you. So you got the benefit of no TIF in a price. So now you would take on even more. So if the difference was $5 million in the TIF, Mr. Kettler would have negotiated a higher price for you, $2 million, $3 million. So I don't think you should get the benefit of that market price if you didn't have an existing TIF to support it. Also, a question for Nathan. The authority has a policy of 10% plus 15% lump sum going into the revolving fund, right? That is the policy.
The policy, well, they just upped it, but the policy was 10% of the annual gross capture goes for either admin or LBRF. So that's an annual capture. And then after the developers reimburse fully, there's what's called a lump sum LBRF capture, which goes into that fund, which we use around the region to support future brownfield projects.
Okay, so if you have a policy, how is it decided to give different rates for different municipalities?
We have to look at these projects on a case-by-case basis at times. They will lower the admin, and we have for either projects that are pushing out to the 30-year statutory max. And if we did 10%, it just doesn't work. Or if the project is such high value that taking 10% would be $500,000 a year or some big number that doesn't make any sense because we're statutory limited by depending on how many projects we have active. For example, the last few years, we've been at 248,700.
I understand all that. So
we do vary from our policy, but only if the conditions warrant that. So Arbor South, we're not going to take 10% admin annually because that would be literally a stupid number. So I think that one is 3% or something.
What I'm hearing is that Ann Arbor gets 3% because that's what they got for Arbor South.
That's just one project.
Okay, Ann Arbor gets 3% plus, I think it was 10%, the lump sum. And a community like Manchester gets 15%.
No.
Well, or Scio gets 15%.
Well, we're offering 5, which
Okay,
is
but you offered us 10.
right, which is the policy that the authority has set.
Right. So how do you communicate to residents in the county that Ann Arbor is going to get a 3%, and you smaller communities, you're going to pay more money? Where's the equity in that?
Well, that's not how it's done.
But that is how it's done.
80 to 90% of our revenue comes from Ann Arbor projects. So Ann Arbor arguably is treated the most unfairly. They're the ones funding our program.
It doesn't matter if I'm a small community. If I'm Webster and somebody wants to come and do this, my taxpayers in Webster are going to pay more money. They're going to contribute more than the taxpayers in Ann Arbor, because you are giving advantage to Ann Arbor.
We're not giving an advantage to Ann Arbor.
Well,
We have many
3%.
projects that are 10%. Many Ann Arbor projects are 10%. It's just only the high value ones like Arbor South that are so high in taxable value that if we took 10%, it wouldn't make any sense. It would be $500,000 a year, which we could never capture anyway.
Yeah, I just don't think it's equitable. I don't know how you justify that one project gets 3%, another one gets 5%, another one gets 10%.
Well, I was just trying to explain that there are
I
conditions that
understand
we
I
vary.
understand all of that.
It's not arbitrary. There are conditions that we look at on a case-by-case basis, and we will adjust as necessary.
Yeah, I think smaller communities are getting unfairly treated in this situation. Okay. I'm going to look at the two plans that you presented, one on June the 1st, 2026, and the one you presented in April 28, 2025. Okay, April 2025, your offer was annual 10% capture to be used for admin costs and deposited into the LBRF, plus a 15% lump sum. That 15% totaled $762,000. Okay. Now today, what is presented is the annual capture went from 10 to 5%, but the lump sum jumped from 15 to 20%. So it went from $762,000 to just over $1 million. That doesn't look kosher to me. That doesn't look kosher. That's saying, well, I'm giving you this discount, but I'm increasing this other amount.
I forgot that this was when I was answering Trustee Reiser's changes and what we changed. I forgot about this one change. This was another change that the authority made when we were still finalizing this draft, which is bumping up LBRF lump sum capture as well. We're allowed 5 years statutory. This is still only 1.5 years of capture, but the concern again for the authority is long-term availability of this fund. So yes, you're right. It did go from 15 to 20%.
Yes, you're allowed 5%, but I have the statute right here that says that you may do these things. You don't have to. So that's what the statute is you may do these things. And then the individual authority at the county level then decides whether they're going to do that for 5 years or not.
Correct. And that's why I always have a subcommittee of 3 members help review this. And it's not just me reviewing this. It's 3 members that can kind of review it as well before the full 9-member authority does.
Well, I can't agree with you presenting an increase in lump sum. And for all the other reasons I stated the last time this was here, the admin costs are astronomical. the actual amount of tax capture went up substantially. If I look at this plan, actually, this was from the previous one. So the school voted millage, our taxpayers would be giving, I think it's $1 million. Our WISD millage is $2.1 million. Our WCC, the community college operating, is $1.3 million over the life of this. That's money that is being diverted from tax dollars away from schools, which right now, Ann Arbor Schools is in negotiation for teacher salary. And by taking away further tax dollars, that impacts our schools. So I just want people to realize these are big impacts to our schools. And I understand, you know, you'll get it all back when your property tax or your property value increases, but I'm still going to come back to, you should have approved it. You should have asked for this TIF before your PUD was approved.
We were asked by staff to separate them. I would, all right.
I don't know about that, so I can't comment on that.
There was a meeting with Laura and the township attorney as to not confuse the two requests.
Yeah, me too.
We just want to clarify, we don't want that held against us for this request.
I don't think anyone did anything insidious or, anything.
Okay, trustee Grant?
Yes, yes, I do. So also the mere fact that you bought this project without a TIF, your purchase price with the TIF would have been higher. Estimated somewhere between $2 and $3 million because the total TIF value was $5 million. I do not believe that Dan Ketlar would have given you that price with a TIF. So this is problematic. Our residents don't support it. It's a lot of money diverted. I don't think it's in the right location. I think our planning commission is more interested in housing development along Jackson Road. The project in Ann Arbor is problematic. Noted attorneys disagree with it. Noted attorneys think that that project can be challenged. So potentially ours could be too. But anyway, I'm not in support. I wasn't in support before. My position has not changed one bit, but I think you need to take your 20% if the rest of my colleagues agreed with this. That's a shell game to me. That's all.
Trustee Knoll.
Can I address the school funding question, please? This came up at Arbor South extensively, and we researched this extensively, I can assure you. The school aid fund, the 24 mills that brownfields capture around the state, and all WISD millages are fully replenished and restored every year by the legislature.
And
So
I was going to add on to that, the school millages that are not part of those 24 mills cannot be used to pay school staff. They can only be used for equipment, facilities,
capital,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they are made whole. Correct.
They're made whole. Yeah, but then you take, I'm a taxpayer to the state of Michigan, so then you take some of my tax dollars, my income tax dollars, and make the schools whole. It's kind of a shell game. I don't agree with the legislation. I've said that.
Well,
nothing personal, but I don't think this is a good program.
Okay, trustee Knoll.
Well, I met with you, the three of you, at different times with Ryan And I was always on the fence. I always had concerns. So you do know that. I still have concerns. I think the TIF gives advantages to developers at the expense of others. The others being residents in the township, taxpayers. There would potentially be decreased revenue to the Ann Arbor Public Schools, Washtenaw Community College. Now, I know you're saying the state has offset that, but there's still, I'm not sure I totally buy that. And I think it's still an issue. Money that could be spent to benefit programs, students can be diverted. And I'm just not in agreement with that. No matter how I look at it and try to see some advantages to this, I see that you've made some changes and that's positive.
Yeah.
I'm
Trust, can I just,
I'm not ready to support it.
Yeah, I understand. I just want to make it like super, like I have two
Okay.
kids at Ann Arbor Public Schools. My wife is a substitute teacher.
Okay.
If I thought that this was going to take any money out of the schools, like I would not be sitting here. Like my wife wouldn't let me sit here. Like she would, I wouldn't have been able to come here. The program, again, we talked about this the last time. It's not a perfect program by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think there are any programs that are perfect that provide affordable housing. This is the best one available to us. I think we lose the narrative a little bit. The schools are not losing any money out from this. Okay, neither is WISD or anything like that. So I just think that I just want to make that's clear. And it's important to me personally, and we wouldn't be advocating for this plan without it. It's an imperfect program that does still provide 43 affordable homes for 25 years. And we just think that's the most important thing here.
Just to add to Ryan's comment, this is all based on incremental generated tax revenue from this investment. If the investment doesn't happen, none of this comes to fruition. In addition to that, we tried to address some of those concerns by doing the 90-10 pass through to allow some of the taxing jurisdictions to benefit from day one when this project comes online. So I just don't want that to be overlooked, that this isn't taking from anything they're getting now. We're adding to that with this investment in the project.
Okay. I'm done. Trustee Reed.
I have all the same concerns of Trustee Brandt and Clerk Flintoff, and the ones that have been, I can't remember all the ones that have been mentioned so far, but two or three things come to mind. What concerns me, there's here 14.5 million, 5.3 million, and 23.4 million. 14.5 million for the affordable housing component. I don't have any problem with subsidized rent. I think that's a great idea. My problem is, if you're going to build these buildings, you're going to build them anyway. So why do we subsidize the building of these buildings with this $5.3 million? And what's odd to me is that over the years, the site prep, infrastructure, and admin didn't go up at all, but labor has gone up. So, and you're paying people, so that number seems a little flaky to me.
Our costs have gone up actually, but we felt like we wanted to keep that level the same to make it a little more palatable. Those would be, costs are up about 25% over the last 3 years.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But then the 23.4 million, it's, you take 19 million and 23 million, it's $4 million that's going somewhere, and it's not going to the taxpayers. So I'm concerned about the numbers. Also, you mentioned that you have the ability, you have a process whereby you presumably annually verify the income of these people who are getting the rent controlled apartment. Is there a written process? Is it something you can share with us, how you do this? Do you require them to give you copies of their taxes, or what is the process you do to do that?
Well, we haven't, under this program, we have 2 projects approved around the county. This would be our 3rd. So we haven't done it yet, but our office does it. And there are best practices. There are approaches that are the best way to do it. So we know how to do it. But it involves, what income documentation is required, and that's all collected by the property manager. They're going to be then submitting that to me, and this will be a whole nother level of service area for our program that we will have to deal with when we have these units that come online. But this is a known process. There are best practices, and we know how to do it.
So if one person is fortunate enough to go above the minimum amount required, they would then start paying the full rent. Then would you go down to now having only 42 homes and then 31 homes? How would that work? How would that process work?
So a project like this where there are market rate units and these 43 rent restricted, this is all worked out in the reimbursement agreement. But what we have done in the past is that over income unit would then convert to market, and the developer would have to designate a different market rate unit as affordable. So we would just kind of be able to move those around instead of displacing that tenant for making too much money all of a sudden. We would redesignate a different unit.
How would that work though? If somebody's paying market rate and you take their apartment and make it affordable housing, does their rent go down? I mean, how would that work? Would you evict them and get a low income person in there? I mean, how would that work?
These are great questions, and every project has different challenges where we look at the fairness of displacing people or not. Sometimes if it's 100% affordable, what do? You can't move them anywhere else or redesignate a unit. So suffice to say, these are things I look to my colleagues for best practices and what's the fairest approach. I look to the developer for what they are prepared to do and comfortable doing. And we guarantee we will maintain these 43 units. Maybe they're not the same 43. Maybe we have to move them around, but they're maintained for those 25 years. That is our role to ensure that happens. And I wanted to speak to, you mentioned 23, 24 million. Why is there 19 and then 24? It's our admin, our LBRF, the things that the county authority adds on to the total reimbursable. So the developer is a known maximum amount, and that's in the brownfield plan. They would not get a penny more than that. And then the other fees are the other ones. And then the state takes 3 mils of the SET. And so they get a pretty good chunk as well. I have to remit that every year to the state of Michigan.
Okay.
Okay. You had your hand up, but
I was just going to quickly give the example of, Mr. Smith lived in apartment 101 and got a huge raise. Mr. Jones lived in apartment 201 and decided he needed to move to Florida to get a new job. 201 could be flipped to the affordable unit, while Mr. Smith could keep, or Mr. whoever could keep 101. That's the way they're talking about it. Obviously, with 240 units, there's a certain amount of turnover that would occur naturally, just coming from a business perspective. But that's it. Thanks.
go ahead.
I would be prepared to make a motion.
Yeah, there's already a motion on the table.
It was
Oh, no,
withdrawn.
yeah, that's right. Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the Crossroads PUD TIF plan as presented.
Is there support?
Support.
Roll call, please.
Riser?
No.
Carey?
No.
Yeaple?
No.
Flintoff? Yes. Grant?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Reed? Motion passes 4-3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is 03. Why does it say motion? Okay, possible action then. Would you? Okay, possible action, Woodview Commons major PUD amendment OA number 25013, PSP number 25018. Oh. Oh, shoot, where did it go? Hello. It marked in-
Good evening. Good evening, good late night, good
Oh, this is early.
Morning.
goodness.
Oh. Yeah.
My name is Nico Schultz. I'm here with Woodview Commons. We're here seeking an amendment to our PUD. To my left is Kevin Coles, our land use attorney. To my right is Kyler Sheeran, our civil engineer. I don't know if Laura.
Laura,
is-
she's still here.
Okay.
Laura?
Hi, so.
There she is.
So this is a major amendment to the Woodview Commons PUD. It's focusing primarily on the northern portion of the site that has not yet been developed. The majority, all of the residential component in the southern part has been constructed and is currently being lived in by a number of new or Scio residents at this point. The major amendment focuses on the commercial portion in the north, eliminating a portion of the commercial multi-tenant building, the medical office facility, and the 4-story apartments, and replacing it with townhomes and stacked flats like have been developed in the other portion of the development. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this major amendment at their May meeting, May 11th meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I know the group there can probably answer more specific questions about the actual project.
Hey, thank you. Did you have a presentation?
We do, if we could, and I'm tied into Zoom, and I will raise my hand.
Nico.
Yeah, it may. Does it show up as Anthony? That's his laptop. Yeah, he's in the back.
Okay.
Panelist. Okay, great. So then I'm sharing. You. Oh, that's not good.
Maybe a refresh.
Sorry, bear with us. We had this lined up and thought it was ready to go, and now it's.
I've got it on.
I apologize. By the way, I will go, I was, I recognize with the late hour and. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you. You're in.
Yeah, I have it just as a PDF.
That's fine. Not what I emailed.
So
Thank you, council.
Billing said she was gonna step out for a minute. Do we wanna, would they pulling up the presentation?
What do you need? Stop my, I can back out of it.
Tyler? Both can be panelists.
So my, yeah, I think this will work.
Okay. I don't. Sorry. Just ask Chip. So who's moderating this meeting?
I'll moderate in the supervisor's absence. Do you want to go through your presentation and briefly, and then we'll deliberate?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted
Thank
to,
you.
I didn't know if I
Yeah,
needed to
no,
wait.
she asked that we go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, fair
yeah.
enough, fair enough.
Thank you, Nico.
Okay. Here, you know what, slide that over here. I'll push the button. Okay, so we will go through quickly. This is a presentation that we gave. It has a couple small amendments or updates from the Plan Commission meeting. And after watching some of the conversation early, I'll be crystal clear. We are not asking for a subsidy in any way, shape, or form. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so there are some of you that are that participated in our earlier approvals. I know Trustee Knoll has, Clerk Flintoft has, and then I know Mr. Yapel, Trustee Yapel left. I know from 21 he was supportive as a resident and as a neighbor. We are Jackson Road Sobey LLC. We've developed Woodview Commons. We're a combination of 3 different development companies that have come together, creating something that we branded as FHS Living. And we've developed a series of different projects around the metro area that are focused on resident first hospitality driven living. So we're quite proud of the team that we assembled for the project. We're proud of our project itself. This is the original PUD. This is what we have constructed up to the northern pieces that Laura identified. By the way, as I said, going through quickly, we have hard copies which we'll submit to whomever, so it's part of, everybody has a copy and it's part of tonight's proceedings. These are a couple images of the project that is constructed. We've, whether it's the flats in the top left, the townhomes in the top right, the ranches in the bottom left, it's centered around the clubhouse that you see in the bottom right. We have these are images of our model of one of our ranch homes. We're proud of it, hitting a great quality that is equal or better than many condominiums that are constructed. Our clubhouse is a central gathering point. We have a very sizable.
To the new, what you want to do, we're going to be out here. The clubhouse isn't new, correct?
No.
Like, could you just tell us what you want to do? The changes, the delta.
Sure. I will. What we want to do is we want to amend the northernmost portion of the property due to the evolving retail landscape, due to the fact that we placed a bet in 2019. It's now 2026. We have come through doing everything that we've delivered. We are evolving and adapting something here. Our community benefits tally up in direct benefits to $1.2 million. Indirect benefits that follow, things like paying our fire department fee of $225,000 early at the township's request. We contributed, those are indirect in addition to the $1.2 million. We're very proud of the community. We're proud of the community. We're proud of what we've built. We're proud of what we've become as a community member, as a taxpayer. And what we'd like to do is make sure that what we complete in our phase 3 is not a mistake, that it is something that doesn't become a gap at the front door of both Scio at the foot of Baker Road, at the west end of the Jackson corridor, and at the front door of our community. What I skipped over are a handful of different quotes that have come on our Google reviews and something that came in since the last time we were here, which is a heartfelt response from one of our residents that distributed a message internally to the entirety of the community, encouraging her neighbors to write more about the positive living. She's an 80-year-old resident who lives in the first floor unit, who was very moved when our team in this hospitality-driven branded community reached out after they hadn't seen her in a while. So it's in here. You can read it later. It's fine. Our current plan is approved for 548 units, 37,000 feet of commercial and 52 acres of open space. What we're proposing is dropping by 20 units, right-sizing the commercial so we don't make a mistake with a gap at the front, and increasing that, increases open space by an acre. The area in focus are the red boxes. The right sizing is a function in the retail component of costs and leasing. Costs have gone up exorbitantly. Vacancy has increased. There are market references and data we can supply after the fact. Building something that doesn't fill is a mistake at the front. It harms the corridor. It weakens the retail that should be built across the street also, next to the car wash, eventually somewhere down to the west, as there are more homes that are built to the west. Right sizing it doesn't mean changing the quality. Nothing that we've done is being diluted. All of the standards that we established in 2021 and were approved, proudly also unanimous votes across the board. 22 as well, nothing's being diluted or changed. Residential is being right-sized also. There's a resident preference. It's crystal clear in the occupancy and the interest that we've gathered from our residents and those that live there today. So the upshot is right-sizing the residential is a drop of 20 units only, and it's a reset of the retail to make sure that it doesn't stumble. From the Plan Commission, we heard a few things. Retail patio activity, connectivity, trees and green, fill the front, and they understood the rental housing demand. So on retail activity, there are a number of places to work with. We pledge that we will do it. I think you look back on our track record, we have done every single thing we said we would do. And we will look at ways to create these additional areas of activity and interest. The multiple front door that we've designed, which is an important part, is part of the challenge. So I'm happy to talk to anybody as we go through the next layer to figure out and talk about why something can or can't, should or shouldn't be done to support the retail, to be healthy retail. Connectivity, there were a number of questions about how do people move throughout the property. The blue is vehicular, the green is pedestrian. There was a focus on the parking area in the prior plan. The new plan, we've introduced wider islands and a pedestrian connectivity that runs right down to the center of the property, to connect directly from the nearest apartment flats building and lead straight into the second front door of the retail building. There was a question about walking paths. We have 5 miles of walkable area within our project between sidewalks, pathways, woodshed paths. The fundamentals revisited, I touched on before, I will speed through. Specifically, this is what we were asking for. You asked what we're trying to do, this is it. We're requesting approval of the plan that's been presented. We want a reasonable consideration. We recognize this is the legislative approval. The record is complete. The request is made with good cause. The application materials with data and the PUD being designed for flexibility is part of it. We are going through the exact same process as the PUD and the First Amendment, both of which received unanimous approval. 2021 and 22 findings are intact. We are a mixed-use property, we are a mixed-use neighborhood, and we support our slot and our fit in the district. Community benefits have been delivered. With this reduction, community benefits are actually now in excess, and there is surplus across a number of them. We won't go into them now in the interest of time. Natural resources are preserved. Burden on services is not unreasonable. That is a standard in your PUD, but we decrease the burden on services with everything that we're proposing. The health, safety, welfare, environment, everything else, the litany of conditions remain unchanged, if not being approved. So our request is for approval because all 6 standards of your PUD process have been met. We're not asking for anything different.
I'd like to move approval of OA number 25013 /PSP number 25018 Woodview Commons preliminary PUD plan major amendment with the following conditions to be addressed in the final PUD plan approval. 1, concerns noted in the planner's review dated March 13, 2026, and 2, concerns noted in the engineer's review dated March 10, 2026, and April 6, 2026.
Support.
Yeah, okay, trustee Riser, do you have anything new to add?
I have mixed feelings. I'm gonna vote for this. I wish there was some retail there, but if the market's not there for retail, the market's not there yet. But there is market for more housing, so it's the fact that it's gonna be housing there, and it's the housing that they know their market and what sells. I'm gonna be supporting this, although I lament the loss of some retail, but maybe retail can't come in until people are confident that they can build it. They'll be able to get tenants for retail. So I'm going to support this.
Okay. I just keep thinking of a Trader Joe's. We need something out here, something more than Meijer. Meijer's okay, but that's all I have to say. Yeah, thank you. Oh, that's right. Clerk Flintoff.
Yeah, great presentation. I have supported this project every time it's come before the board. I think it's beautiful. It looks like a great place to live.
Thank you.
I do want to say though, I remember sitting next to Jack Knowles years ago regarding this proposal and his saying, I would just hate to see that commercial place, the commercial part by Jackson Road remain vacant, which is what we have right now. And I am concerned about this change. I hear that there are real market forces at play here, but every time I go by that beautiful housing that you've built, I think, what do people do? Hang out at Tractor Supply, go across the street to Zippy Car Wash and get some quarters? Like, seriously, that's what kind of makes it a non-desirable place to live in my mind. And when I go by it. So it also, I think, well, people probably go into the city of Dexter and spend their money there. And so part of the promise of this PUD that we approved and the amendment to accommodate the Herons and everything else that you've done for the community was that we were going to have some retail for the people who live here, the many hundreds of people who live here to frequent. So I think that's important. And I think, that's why I would be voting against this tonight, is because I think this commercial investment right there is really important. It can't as easily be across the street next to Zippy. Having it right there where people can walk seems ideal. Thank you.
Trustee Brandt.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what she said. I would like to see the retail. I mean, there's a reduction from 37,000 square feet retail down to 11. With all the residents that live there, it seems like you could get something, even if it was a coffee shop, additional. I've gone by that a couple of times in the past 2 months. Your pathway on the west side has a pathway closed thing. It's been up there for a couple months. Longer than that?
Yes, it does. We haven't turned the pathway over to the township officially.
But that's not our pathway, right?
I thought, wasn't that internal?
No, that's the pathway that's a pathway that was requested specifically during our community benefits conversation.
Right, but
that
I don't.
runs the entire west edge of the property, loops down behind the ranches, comes up
Right.
through another area, goes out in through the trees where we then constructed a boardwalk, goes down to the far southeast corner of the property where our trees come up against the township conservation or park trees. And that's where we end because that's the end of our property. And I believe in your pathway plan, then you are at some point coming to connect.
Right,
So
but-
that will be a township. We just haven't turned it over yet.
Well, I don't understand the portion that's on Baker Road that's on your property that's not Scio pathway, right? That's your property, right?
It will be a public pathway.
Is that part of the agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, believe me,
that
it
we
is.
took
I remember it
ownership
very
of that
clearly.
pathway?
Yes.
It is part of our.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, so until we take it, then do not enter stays there?
It's still private property. We can convey it and then it becomes the township property. It was designed within the agreement. I think it states that it's turned over at the conclusion of the development of
Okay.
the property.
All right, thanks
And
for
since
clarifying.
we've done three phases, 3 segments, we have yet to turn it over. And for private property rights and safety concerns, there's a barricade there. Believe me, some people walk past the barricade.
I'm done.
If I may, look, the reason that we're proposing the retail as it's sized is not to not build it. It's at 37,000 feet. That's too big a bite to go do responsibly for the reasons that I described. So we know that it will not succeed. And retail that has a series of vacancies that just linger and linger, all that does is it pushes down the rates within that property, within that building. And this is not a developer trying to maximize margins. If we wanted to do that, we wouldn't have moved everything for the errands. We wouldn't have built everything at once. We wouldn't have added, art at the entry. We wouldn't look like it does today. The right sizing of this is to take a step forward to say we will continue on the path we began. No pun intended for the pathway. To continue on the path that we began and construct it at 11,000 feet. We are comfortable enough to build it at risk. At 37,000 feet, it doesn't work. So we're willing to build something and trigger it for the reasons that Clerk Flintoff mentioned, is having a place for residents to go, having a place for the residents of Scio as they come down Baker in either direction to visit and to serve them, just not 37,000 feet. It will become a negative in the commercial, not just at our front door, but on the west end of the corridor. Believe me, it will set the retail back. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because of the investment we've made, because of the community we're in, because all the work that we've put forth. So I understand that there's a desire to have more commercial there, but we are not the end all be all of the commercial of west end of the corridor. There's room for other things to be built. Trustee Yaples' property is there. There's things across on the north side. There is next to the Zippy Car Wash. Those are areas that are the next opportunity. Let us finish our project responsibly, not taint it, not taint the end of the corridor, and let some of those other properties then start to germinate and grow. That's why we're here. That's why we're proposing the amendment. It's to keep going.
Okay, Trustee Noel.
I'm in support of this. They have been a responsible developer. They've done everything they said they were going to do. They have contributed community benefits to the township. They did conduct an analysis of before they arrived at this decision. And I was satisfied when I heard their lengthy explanation. So I'm in full support of the amendment.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Reed.
I agree with everyone lamenting the loss of the retail, and I agree with Supervisor that it would be really nice to have Trader Joe's there, but the access is too easy and you got way too much parking, so it wouldn't work.
For Trader Joe's.
For Trader Joe's.
They have a way of doing that.
They like to cram it in, but no, I support this project. And I'm sorry that you have to do it, but do you have, you seem to have calculated that you can fill 11,000 feet. So do you have prospects in mind, or is that, you're not open to talking about that, but do you have a couple of clients who are chomping at the bit to open up there?
Chomping, no.
No.
Typically you want to have, when you're leasing retail, you want to have a 2, if not 3 to 1 coverage. So if you had 11,000 feet and it's, call it 10,000 feet, let's just, for simple numbers, you had 2,500 foot spaces. That's 4 spaces. Ideally, you want 8 to 12 prospects. We don't. We were asked at the Plan Commission who we have in hand, and I answered we don't have anybody. Since then, we've been talking to our brokers, and we have identified 2 or 3. But that's where you start. And when you start with something that you believe you can get to, although it's a bit of a stretch, and like I said, we're willing to build it and push it through. We think we can do the 11.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Well, let's. Yeah.
Call a question.
Sure, yes.
Okay.
So
It's a motion by Riser, support by Noel to approve the plan pursuant to the model motion.
okay, roll call, please.
Riser,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Flintoff, no. Grant,
No.
Noel,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
motion passes 4-2. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
You stayed this long. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, in a couple of years.
Christy, did you want one? I didn't think so, but okay, 04, CarMax preliminary PUD plan, major amendment. OA number 26002, PSP number 26003.
So I believe there's a couple members, yep, they're taking their seats, but I'll go start if that's okay. This is the former BMW property located at 501 and 515 Auto Mall Drive. CarMax is a pre-owned auto sales dealership, and they are looking to renovate and demolish a portion of the building, but renovate the existing BMW site for their use. This is the Auto Mall is a 1990s PUD that was developed in order to concentrate the dealerships at that time in this area of the township. And so this is considered a major amendment based on their plan. And I'm happy to answer any questions as you have your discussion.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to log in?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
While you do that, I would like to move to approve the CarMax preliminary PUD OA PUD number 26002 TSP 26003 with the following conditions to be addressed during the final PUD site plan. There are 8 of them. 1, the concerns noted in the planner's review dated April 4th, 2026. 2, concerns noted in the engineer's review dated April 22nd, 2026. 3, the south side of the sales display area shall meet the PUD interior landscaping and frontage design requirements with flexibility and final configuration, and shall provide an interesting Jackson Road frontage rather than a long straight line of display vehicles. 4, the requested waiver to remove the required landscape island or frontage treatment that breaks up the continuous run of 26 spaces along the south side is not granted. 5, the waiver for the reduced parking stall sizes and eastern and western drive aisle width within the sales display area is granted. 6, a standard guardrail is not accepted. The applicant may use an alternative painted tubular or rolled pipe asset protection treatment or similar acceptable alternative, provided it is screened with the year-round landscaping that provides coverage in winter and summer. 7, the existing pedestrian connection to the Jackson sidewalk adequate with no additional sidewalk around Auto Mall Drive is required for this property. And 8, the applicant shall provide designated recycling space on the site.
Okay. I didn't get there fast enough.
So it's your turn to talk, but careful, at this point, you have my vote.
All right, well, we'll do our best to keep it then. Thanks for having us. I know it's late, so we'll try to keep this brief and concise. I'm Taylor Rains. I'm with Centerpoint Integrated Solutions. We're development consultant for CarMax. This is Bradley Escobar. He works for CarMax. And then behind us, we also have Stephen Etsy, our LUA, and Ryan First with Atwell, our civil. So as mentioned, this is for the PUD amendment at 501 Automall Drive. Bradley's going to actually start with some info about CarMax itself.
So good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Bradley Escobar, and I'm a part of the design development team at CarMax. We're based out of Richmond, Virginia. And before I turn it over to Taylor, I'd like to talk a little bit about us and who we are. So we are the nation's largest retailer of used
Do you
vehicles.
really want to do that?
What's
When
that?
You probably have a majority of the votes right now, and we have other things at 11:30 at night. Read the room. All right.
We can move on
Yeah, we
then.
can do that. It's easy.
So yeah, just kind of an overlay here. I've got the existing aerial on the left there. So that northern building was previously used by Lexus as like a service area. And then that main building to the south was BMW dealership and service. The right picture there is our current colored site plan that we're proposing. As you may or may not be able to tell, we're trying to reuse the site as much as possible while also incorporating what we need to make it work for CarMax. A big part of that reuse is a large portion of that southern building. I'll just summarize here by saying we've worked pretty extensively with Laura and as your engineering team to get to this point. The site plan has been revised several times to meet city code and conform to the existing PUD as well as the neighboring uses, which are also dealerships. Going back to the Planning Commission, it's all kind of laid out in their recommendation there. But just kind of briefly here, we did agree to provide landscape along Jackson frontage within the sales lot. Kind of tied into that are these next two. Agreed to break up the run of 26 spaces along Jackson frontage and agreed to provide that rectilinear frontage back by incorporating a couple existing landscape islands there. And then the one waiver that we had requested that was accepted by Planning Commission was that reduced stall size and drive aisle. Again, briefly, this is just kind of the standard layout that we had sent to Planning Commission for them to review. You've got the customer employee parking there on the left, kind of funnels people into the sales building where they're then funneled into sales display area. That lot is fully secured, hence the need for the asset protection. The only people driving in and out of this area are employees to provide the car to someone who might want to go on a test drive. So no public access whatsoever. Those 2 points of entry into it are actually gated all the time. So, and then that last area up at the top is the sales staging area. Cars just kind of sit there if they're not quite ready for sale, if they're waiting for title, or if there's some kind of inspection going through for the sale to be finalized, whatever it might be. And then directly adjacent to that is the drive aisle that's completely dedicated to our car carriers for loading and unloading. We did include the kind of revised site plan. We've already started to incorporate comments from Planning Commission. May or may not be able to see it down there at the bottom, but there are those landscape islands added back in along the frontage. This was the original landscape plan. Again, just kind of wanted to show this here in comparison to the new one, which has trees replanted in those existing islands along the frontage. Standard elevations. So we are taking that existing building, like I said, reducing its size and then just modifying it to meet CarMax standards. And then these last slides, just some renderings to kind of give an idea of what the site will look like with those adjustments from Planning Commission. So these first two are from Jackson Road. So the view you would have just driving by. And then these next few are more of a zoomed in look at the building itself, just to give an idea of that. This rendering here actually has a view of those asset protection rolled pipe bollards there. Just in case you were wondering what those might look like in this development. And then I also included here at the end, since it was a condition of Planning Commission approval, just the detail for those bollards, as well as a couple pictures of where we've used them elsewhere and what the kind of that detail looks like when you've got the landscape plantings in front of them. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Riser?
I've spoken.
Okay. I have nothing. Treasurer Yapel?
I have nothing because Trustee Riser made the model motion, correct?
Yeah, but there's discussion.
By Reed.
Right, but
Okay. I have nothing. Moving on.
I'll call the question.
Yep. Support.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes.
All right.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Good night. Enjoy your drive home this morning. Oh, your drive to the hotel.
Yeah. Where'd you come from?
I-
Oh, for 5 minutes of fame. Sorry, buddy.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed your 5-hour meeting.
Congrats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. You wanted to end this and now you're continuing to talk. So let's go. Okay, thank you. Okay, 01.
So I included here a extensive written background to try to bring the board up to date. It's a 3-part request tonight. Are there any questions?
Trustee Riser.
No, I'm gonna support this. I realize it's not gonna be in perpetuity, but at this point, I think we need the help and I appreciate you putting this together.
No problem.
How long is this for? Because there's 3 parts actually.
Well, the first part is readying our books as quickly as we can. We've all been working hard at the update. Our hope is to get, and by books, it includes the payroll corrections, the retirement contributions. We've gotten a lot of it done in the last few weeks. But, we need to first get the cash reconciled. Everything's all tied together. So it shouldn't be a mystery. I don't think,
How long? Through the end of the audit, you think?
so this is to get the prior year records up to date. So that's as soon as possible. As I stated in here, we would expect by mid-August to be ready. If we will need to, we don't yet know if we'll need to request an extension. My hope is not, but it is possible. I've notified the auditors, talked to the actuary, and everything I've already said in here. So we just have to keep moving as fast as we can. But it requires additional resources of plant to do that. They've been extremely flexible, and, we work, we do hours and hours, Ryan and I and our team. So we're clicking through things as quickly as we can.
Okay, so that's 210,000, and then we pay our finance staff, 2 of them right now, 220,000.
So the 210,000 number that you just stated, so this is for up to 90,000 billed at regular rates for getting the books in order. There's the transitional support over the year. We've spent down about 20,000 or so of that, 120,000. So this is for $90,000.
Correct, but
Up to.
also the 120 that we
No,
approved before.
definitely. We can all total up these numbers. I think we all recognize this is not ideal. I'm just telling you what's necessary to get things in order to be ready for audit. It is a better move for the township in terms of risk or any negative outcome to get our books in order first.
Okay.
We do not want to go into an audit without our books in order.
Okay, I'm just asking questions. And then Wood Hill, utility billing, this is for how long? Just to
This is
up to 32 hours.
So yeah, the request is up to 32 hours. Again, Colleen Coogan was kind enough to come in today. It took less than 8 hours for her to do a whole month of work. She's extraordinarily efficient. I don't expect utility billing to take more than probably 4 days a month.
Oh, so this will be ongoing or until we hire?
Well, it's as long as needed right now. It's as short as needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
We're just trying to keep things moving.
I understand. And the ADP, that seems to be a kind of a permanent request.
The recommendation for ADP would be permanent. It's something we've looked at different times. Certainly it's going to reduce, the risk of spear phishing, the risk of, more reliability. It would also introduce the electronic timekeeping, time off, and so create some nice features for staff, but also some efficiencies for administration.
Well, I would like to see the finance department get up and running on their feet so we don't have to hire or more, because that was one of our campaign slogans or messages was to get away from contractors and have more in-house, and it seems like we're going backwards. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, well, certainly not ideal situation, but I'm bringing it to the board before it becomes an actual problem and asking for the board's support.
It's already a problem, but so ADP, so it's less expensive to have ADP than to have internal staff do payroll. Well,
I would say sometimes, in this case, yes. Certainly there's the 2 months of implementation we would do. I propose the team to do that because we have to make sure that all of our policies are automated, but this is both the timekeeping module as well as the payroll module. And again, in terms of redundancy for a core service like payroll, David and others have recommended we outsource payroll for a long time. We've looked at it before, looked at it when Joyce was here. So I think it's just high time to do it, particularly with all of the security issues. With a system like this, people can, for example, manage their own direct deposit, manage their own, tax withholdings. So it's better for the employees. It's also better for management in terms of time tracking and the various options that are available there instead of the paper timesheets and things. PTO requests, all of that. We're about to have 3 buildings as an organization. And so the paper would largely go away.
And then MERS and different HSA, all of that could be implemented.
So that's some of it. Yes, in terms of the taxes, in terms of the retirements, we would look at that. Certainly, some of that is automated through ADP, and some of that will continue to be through the township. Certainly, most of the payables we would still handle, but the state and federal taxes, and importantly, the year end, which takes quite a bit of work, especially when you have 100 election inspectors at the end of a year like 2026.
And for ADP, who would be, so it would be individual? I mean, somebody has to, how would that work? Because you still have to have staff.
Yeah, so again, that's why they have the 2-month lead up, and they kind of talked us through getting all of our policies in place. So for example, time off requests, our policy is it goes to somebody's direct supervisor. So that would be automated through that. In terms of timesheets, okay, timesheets are done. Maybe my subordinate enters their timesheet. It pings, you can approve it electronically. It's then in the system, all the hours are loaded. So it would take away the step of looking at a paper timesheet and entering into payroll. Certainly there's a role for all of the appropriate verifications and authorizations. The township would hold on to all of the decision making.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. See, Treasurer Yapel, do you have anything?
Thank you. I appreciate Clerk Flintoff bringing these requests, and I look forward to getting everybody on board with ADP, and also working with Plant, and worked with Colleen today. She was fantastic. Got the billing done in less than a full day, and look forward to recording it next month, and then teaching it in the month of August to whichever staff is responsible at that point for it. And I think this is what we need to do with the situation we got, and I appreciate Clerk Flintoff taking the time to bring these efforts. Thank you.
Brian, too. We've been working hard and making it happen, and so thanks for that.
Thanks.
I move to motion. Well, anybody else? The next would be Trustee Brandt.
No, I don't have any. It's something we need to do.
Trustee Noel?
I'm prepared to support this. However, I do have concerns about how we got where we are, and I don't fully understand it, but I'm willing to defray that discussion to another time when we can talk.
Yeah, anytime. If you have questions about what's written here, you can ask now. If you have internal questions, you can ask offline.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Trustee Reed.
I support this as well. One piece of disclosure, which I didn't mention at the beginning, and I'm going to mention it now. I was a 30-year employee of ADP. I started when they were still punching cards. But I've been retired from ADP now for 25 years. So I don't really have a conflict on this because it's not the system that I worked on. It's a totally different system. But I did have a concern, and I would have asked the ADP person about the use of the cell phone to key in and or to log your hours. Because some of our people work in areas where they may not have cell reception. So I want to talk to ADP about how they can do that. I'm sure they have a method. Because as I said, when I was working for ADP, if you can think it, you can do it in a computer. So, all right, that's all.
And you just reminded me of something, also privacy, if they're using their phones and they're at home or whatever, I don't know, I think we should look into privacy as well.
Yeah, definitely. There may be some policies we need to, develop as part of this, but that's just one option. People can also come to their computer and log in. So.
Okay, so there's a model motion. I think-
Support. There was no support.
No, there wasn't.
I don't know if there was or not.
Please support me.
I'll support it.
Let's do a voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, good. Yeah, all right. Well, now is the time for public comment. We begin with anybody present, and there's already up to 5 minutes. There's the timer. Yep, let's go.
Christy, great job with the microphone. There were nearly 50 people sitting back here during the meeting, and we could hear everything that was being said at the table very clearly. So perfect solution. Well done. Thank you to Barb Collegia. You set a very high standard for Scio, and we are grateful for all your service to Scio Township residents. It's no wonder municipalities all over Washtenaw County are asking for your services. Have a great summer, and the Webster Township residents will be lucky to have you as clerk again in the fall. Kathleen, at the last meeting, you said something to the effect of that it was inappropriate for Kathy to get salary information from Nikki. I was looking through the agenda after the meeting, several days after the meeting, to see what had been added. And lo and behold, there was a document that had been added with the salary ranges for multiple positions in Scio that wasn't available to the public during the meeting. The number Nikki gave Kathy came from that document. It was $94,648 a year. That document came from Aurora and Raman. So the number Nikki gave Kathy actually came from Aurora. I just wanted to get that on the record. There's a Sun-Times News article called Ordinances Reviewed by Scio Township Planning Commission. They're looking at a noise ordinance, and I highly suggest that Scio Township consult with Pittsfield and Scio Township to find out how they have developed their noise ordinance and see if that can help you during your working sessions for our noise ordinance. Same goes for PUD public benefit. Jupiter Energy, as a part of the agreement between Jupiter Energy and the township for a battery storage facility, the developer agreed to construct two pole barns on site for use by the Saline Area Fire Authority. Construction of the pole barns would provide extra storage space for the department and closer access for any fire suppression services required within the township. One building will have a finished interior and the other an unfinished storage facility. So here's an example of a significant public benefit given to Scio Township. And once again, as you guys are working on that policy, I hope you will use that as a guide too. There were 50 people in the audience tonight. Sorry, Jonathan, not audience. There were 50 people in the public seating tonight. And that's the first big test for the HVAC system. It got really hot in here and really humid. And so it wasn't keeping up. Then about 10:30, it cooled off again. And then I could hear a hum, and the hum quit, and it started warming up again. So just FYI about the HVAC system. Kathleen, it does you no good to dismiss Renee's emails. How about you help fulfill the FOIAs and the appeals instead of claiming harassment? Jessica, it does you no good to dismiss public comments as overly specific. Nathaniel, the most important skill you're going to need to have as operations director is immunity from manipulation. Because in this building, there is a lot of manipulation, and you have to be aware of that, and you have to make yourself immune to it, because you are going to get a lot of information from a lot of different people, and you're going to have to discern what is real and what is BS. Kathleen.
I'll support that.
Ryan and David, thank you all for voting no on Ember Grove. Jillian, Jessica, Kathy, John, what were you doing? Ember Grove just blew off your requests for increased public benefits, and you voted yes. So you've set the standard for future developer public benefits. That's not good.
I didn't vote that. But anyways, go on. I'll wait till response.
Beg your pardon.
No, that's okay. Wait.
It was 4-3, right?
I'll wait.
I beg your pardon. I stand corrected. Thank you, Jessica. David, Jessica, Kathleen, Kathy, David, thank you for denying Crossroads. It was too expensive. David, loved your question about transferring units. How would Scio regulate the agreement for 25 years? Would we have to start a housing department to monitor what's going on there? And because it was denied, it never got discussed tonight. So please add affordable housing policy to your working sessions with a way to regulate them if they're approved. Jessica and Kathleen, thank you for your comments on Woodhill. I believe part of the attraction for people who moved into Woodhill or Woodview was that there was going to be retail nearby that they could walk to. And
Hey, Rob.
beg your pardon.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else?
Folks, I have 8:30 a medical appointment tomorrow morning. I'm gonna take off.
Okay,
Mark,
thank
I'll
you.
listen to your.
No, I was just gonna say, congratulations for telling that guy to read the room. That was good. And I'm not gonna stay here long either. You can start to think. Caroline would also say congratulations on the microphone. It did work out really well. I want to say welcome to Nathaniel Clark. I hope you're happy what you got into, buddy. I also want to say good for Trustee Noel for suggesting a follow-up on how we got into the situation where we got to spend the money for counting purposes. And lastly, I would say that we got to figure out a way to have shorter meetings. Thank
Okay,
you.
yep, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Chrissy, anyone online? Board, do we have board response from anyone? Okay, good, at 11:55. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.